with also like half or so of the population already fully vaccinated. It's just a smaller proportion of the population is getting sicker faster, and so that we're breaking those records continuously. In any case, so we have a situation where that's happening, um, and like, and going to school has been highly politicized. If you've been watching American news, holy shit,
Yeah,
highly politicized. So,
big time.
uh, should um, should distance learning, should that be um, like the way of the future? Like literally to get away from people. Like that's what the point is now. Is not less the virus and more the people. Um, but distance learning with all its disadvantages. So
I think we should utilize distance learning. It's something we should have done from the beginning. I think we need to accommodate kids a lot better than we do, and that's one way that we can. Um, I had both of my kids in virtual school so they got out on spring break 2020 and then hadn't gone back. And when the new school year last year started, I had a kindergartner in virtual and a fifth grader in virtual online learning. So they're now back in regular school, but we don't know if within a week we're going to be going back to virtual learning because there was an outbreak here. And yeah, I was really impressed with the online learning, to be quite honest. I got to watch my kindergartner like start writing full sentences and how he interacted with his classmates and his teacher. It was a hard adjustment, but yeah, I just think that we need to accommodate children a hell of a lot better than we do.
I think I'm okay with it in the meantime, but like this should not be perpetuated like any longer than it has to. Like the main way that we form like relationships and like get friends like is geographically, right? You make friends like through the spaces in which you exist, and that's even true for like the online world, right? But you need like actual like real life relationships as well when it comes to your entire life online.
I feel like that's your neurotypical mind.
I think most people are neurotypical though, aren't they? So
that's why they call it typical, I guess, right?
I mean, I think I think for me,
so I think we should still accommodate for non.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Like the way that I think about this. Well, I guess the question that I have is how bad is the mental health damage going to be? Like in 20 years, when people studying the pandemic or in 10 years even, and the mental damage that it's done to everybody. Like I can tell you myself, I've gone through a lot of mental health duress since the pandemic started, just from an anecdotal experience. But I don't know barely anybody who hasn't been affected by it, except for some of the rich and tech people. But fuck them, and let's tax the fuck out of them is what I say.
So you're saying you don't know anyone who's been not mentally?
Yeah, and I guess I'm just like I guess like my main question is like how bad is it really going to be? Like, I don't think that we have good data on like how bad things were after the I don't know what we're supposed to be calling it, the 1918 pandemic, the 1916 pandemic, global South. Okay, I'm trying to catch up, y'all. I'm trying to get better. But yeah, I wonder how bad it's going to be. I think we're going to see a lot of children who suffered pretty severe damage. I don't, not to put that in air quotes, but yeah, like it's pretty severe, like PTSD, damn near.
Well, I mean, I know for me, my daughter did both. Excuse me. She did both the online school and she did, in class school. Now, the online academy she went to, it was horrible. It was like little kids work. Like she was like, I'm playing games all day, Dad. I don't feel like I'm learning anything. I'm not getting anything substantial out of it. And when your kid's telling you that, it's a little bit alarming. Now, it could just be the way that she learns, or maybe she didn't realize, that it was teaching her or something. But, when your kid usually knows when they're learning something, and, it's not necessarily something they're always happy to do, but they at least recognize I'm learning. And when she's telling me no, but then she's going into class and when she goes into actual school, it's working and she's getting an education. I can see her grow. I can see her vocabulary build. I can see her mathematics skills build, etc. You know, I have to think that, you know, it's good to have them in class. I'm okay with online learning, but I think there's got to be a very strict standard set for what we're calling online learning. Because and again, I'm in Arizona, so we're horrible with education. So we won't even get started on that. 48th in the country, I think. So, you know, but I think if there's got to be a federal standard set for it. Otherwise, you're going to have people that are learning how to retread tires through web videos instead of actually learning how to function as an adult or learning the basic necessities of life. So I think it can be a good thing. I think that there is some social limitations that can occur and some social development issues that could be presented. But I think overall, there is a possibility it could work. So for a short time, when my daughter was doing homeschool, it was because the school shut down and it was her legit, it was like her class, like as if she was at that school and her teacher working it online. That was different. I think that there's a distinction between those two things, though. Children who are learning from a brick and mortar school that is doing remote learning to deal with COVID, and children who are strictly going to a remote school. They're not the same. 100% not the same.
I think that all really depends on the state, the district, and all of that as well, and the guidelines. I know that, like, especially with virtual learning, there were guidelines that were different all across the country. Like even just in my state, they were just insanely different. And I heard so many complaints from people, but I also heard so many positive stories, which is why I think that, like, I don't know, I feel like you guys are advocating against virtual learning when I think you guys shouldn't be. You should be advocating the other side, because what's the downfall?
There's nothing wrong with virtual learning. I'm just saying there needs to be federal regulation to make sure that the quality of learning, the quality of the education is maintained. Right now, a lot of virtual learning is like a grift. You know, like I could show you the 18 different websites my daughter had to go to for one day of school, where she was learning garbage. I'm not saying that's the way all the way around, but we have to set a standard so that doesn't happen for some kids who are in those crappy areas where they're not taking care of education the way they should.
I think I am, like, genuinely against virtual learning. So I understand, like most things, right? It has its uses, like, here and there, and it can be applied here, and like for these people it might be better, and blah blah blah. And, like, obviously we can accommodate for that. That's fine. Right, but like generally speaking, for the general population, it is a bad thing, right? We see that, like, people get like worse education out of it. It cripples their social skills. It's more of a financial burden on the parents. Like it like overall, it is a bad thing for like the majority of people, and the majority of like people that have to then cope with it. Further than that, like the people who don't have access to, say, like broadband, a good laptop. They can't afford school supplies, you know, the things that would otherwise be supplied by the school, like childcare, like food for the day, right?
I was really surprised at how quick in action all of that stuff was pretty much provided for most students across this country.
Yeah, but even then,
they started installing broadband in counties that had never had internet access before. Students were getting computers and laptops and had like all of this provided through federal funding, along with and so like those guidelines that Jason was talking about, those are there, but this is really new. Like, you know, they had to like spring in and into action and put these plans, because anytime there's federal funding connected to something, that means there's federal regulations. That's how you either follow the federal guidelines or you don't get the funding.
Yeah, so like I said, in the meantime, like, I think this is fine. You know, it works perfectly. Like, for the purposes of COVID, like, it seems like a really practical solution. And, like, implementing it like that, like equalizing the availability of it across the board sounds like really good. But even then, you still face these aspects.
I have permit for concealed carry. Why shouldn't you just be able to carry a gun in whatever way you want?
As well. If two of you are stuck in the house all the time, right? It's not good for you to be like that, right? Like, I don't want to get all like boomery here, but you do actually need to go outside every now and again. You do need to meet people, right? You do need to have friends outside of the internet, or at least most people do, or at least most people should. And like, it's not good for you. You do need to like have these experiences, and like further than that, like I said, like, for the vast majority of people, these online learning things that result in
I'm trying
lower
not to crack up while I'm listening to this.
do get worse education out
Because-
of it, even if they've got like the best laptop and good broadband and stuff. It's
But
just not the same as being in a classroom.
But these are decisions that parents and children can make. The option should be there. Like, I guess I don't get why you're.
Yeah, of course, you're right. Again, I'm okay with the option being there, but I'm saying that like it's a bad option to take. Most people should not pick that option.
I'm not here to discuss
on
whether
what,
morally
though?
that's right or wrong for a parent or
based
their
on
child.
what?
It should be available though, and it should be heavily regulated, and there should be a standard of education that has to be met, and these virtual schools should have to demonstrate it beyond just surface level. Like it's just too easy for them to skirt their responsibilities as educators when it's virtual. That's the thing that bothers me the most.
All the testing is still the same, whether we're virtual or not. Like every test that my child had to take, still meet the benchmarks.
Oh, the
because of
Wolf's Den
federal
was
guidelines.
CTV's channel.
Like the schools had to still implement those standards.
I didn't see it here, I
Box.
didn't see it here. It wasn't reflective in Arizona, and we had a lot of complaints about it. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. Otherwise, like, I'm perfectly good with virtual education. I think it can be a good thing. I think it can be very useful for kids who have illnesses, who maybe have trouble adjusting to social situations. There's a litany of it could be good because of what the parents' circumstances are. There's a lot of reasons why it can be okay and be a very positive thing. I just think that, you know, the problem that I've seen is that even with, like you're saying, oh, well, there's, you know, regulations tied to the money they receive. Well, yeah, but I also saw the result of that, which is that they still skirted around it. So I think that that needs to be policed heavily.
Your state's already 48th in the country for sucky schooling. Of course, your virtual schooling is going to reflect that.
Yeah, but the on-site school is a world of a difference better, and that's the scary part.
Roasted.
But no, it's a world of a difference better according to what standards? Like, you guys are acting like because it's online, all these regulations and standards go away and that kids don't socialize outside of these aspects. Like, I don't know about you, but I take my kids to the park. Like, they get social interaction. My kids are in school now, but I guess, what are they missing out on? Do you guys really, not everyone on here has kids, but am I going to take them to fucking Disney World right now? No. They're not.
Well, from a social aspect, I don't think it's a horrible thing. I mean, like, for instance, my daughter has children that are friends of hers outside of school or cousins and things like that. So she's not missing that much socially. That's not what I'm talking about. But sometimes the teacher support can be lacking. Sometimes the support that a child needs in order to be have a good education doesn't work.
I don't want to interrupt you, but can you explain how this is any different though than being at school? Like, these are all issues that are just inherently wrong with education, not virtual education.
Sure, and I would apply the same standards to brick and mortar education as well. I think that brick and mortar education, coming from the state I'm in, is horrible, and I think the federal government needs to step in when they see stuff like that, when they see such a low standard of education. And I just haven't seen that happen. I mean, nothing's changed in my state anyways. And again, that could be our state government, but also the federal government at some point should be like, hey, dude, no, you guys need to pick up the pace. Like, you're not taking care of your people, you know?
It's the environment.
That's not how it works.
Like, it's simple as that. Like, it's like you see this with like office culture, right? So like people who work from home tend to be less productive than people who work at the office, right? Because they sort of like get in this mindset, or like, sorry, not even less productive. I think it's the opposite is true, actually. I think it's like more happy, right? Because it's like you wake up in the morning, you have your morning routine, go to the office, and you sort of like mentally prepare yourself to go to the office. And then when you're at the office, like you're in the headspace to do work. And then when you get off work at the end of the day, you go home, and like that trip home decompresses you. And when you're at home, you're like out of work, right? It's the same with school, right? You get up in the morning, you get a school routine, you go to school, blah, 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 right? And like having these sort of like boundaries between these environments facilitates sort of healthy interactions within those environments.
Oh my God, I so agree with that point. Holy shit, if you went from fucking working in an office to working from home, you know exactly what the fuck he's talking about. Because holy shit, there's a difference. There is nothing.
I hear you.
There's nothing like being face to face with people, don't get me wrong, I am 100% in favor of keeping kids out of school if there's a COVID threat, and like as long as COVID's a thing, we're just gonna have to fucking deal with it. Which is why I kind of said it would be interesting to see what the health effects of this are going to be, and not something like we should stop this from happening and we need our kids back in schools, because that's not what I believe. But like, you know, yeah, this is going to be a big thing, and like you can't socialize correctly with people online. If all 6 of us were in the same room having this debate, holy
God, no.
shit, imagine the dynamics. Imagine the dynamics with somebody named BBC Gambit like on his goddamn head.
Ooh,
Why?
just
Just
coming
why?
in hot.
God damn it.
Come back me up, GSU.
Oh boy.
Further than that, it shifts all the cost to the parent or the employee in this case, right? You have to buy your own meal. You have to buy your own laptop, pay your own broadband, buy your own office space, buy your own chair, supply all these things. Like a lot of the time you do.
I'm actually very productive working from home, but the social strain is a bitch.
No, there are some localities.
I don't believe that fucking Biden is buying you office chairs for your house. I don't believe that.
No, we're talking about schools, not all.
Yeah.
Not,
Well, yeah,
but not all schools. So at the very start of the pandemic, and hopefully we'll see GSU and all his beautiful glory in a second, right? He's going to come on camera soon. But at the very start of the pandemic, there was an expose talking about like what this looked like in rural areas, right? They talked about how these poorly sourced schools that they couldn't even do online learning, right? By distance learning, right? They had to set up a series of mailboxes so that kids could like exchange physical work with them, right? Because the area was so poor that few people had internet. If you did have internet, it was incredibly expensive, right? Or you'd have to use like the library's internet. And even that wasn't like built for like everyone to use at the same time, right? So for some of these people, they didn't get all those same options. So
that's a Madonna British accent.
Distance learning, it's not going to be something that's across the board that everyone has equal access to, right? Or have equal access to the same quality of distance learning, right? So maybe in your locality, they provided that. In others, no way. They can't provide that for like inside the building, inside the normal school building.
So I want to make
something... that's a thing that's inherent to education. That's an infrastructure problem. That is something that we can change. It's not something that is inherent to online education.
And I would like to just point this out. I went to public school for part of.
We can tell.
Got him. God damn it! Wait a second. Is this why I'm not a mod? Damn it! Fuck. Anyway.
Hey, your dreams will come true one day. One day your dreams will come true.
No, I like being just regular chatter. I think I said that to him in my reply. I was like, I like being. I'm a part of the chat. You know, I'm a chat. Like that's me. All right, I'm the ignorant fucking spammer in chat who's doing rat dogs and ACABs. All right. Anyway,
Rat Dog Nation.
Rat Dog Nation. Goddamn fucking right. The boy best emote on Twitch, folks. It's worth the fucking sub. He should make that a tier 3 sub. He'd get a lot more tier 3s. Nah, I'm just saying. Anyway, kids. What was I saying? Kids. It's not. Public schools suck. So let's not pretend like the schooling is much better, if any better, in person. What I think is the key, like the thing that kids are missing is the interaction, because not everybody has like that type of tight-knit family where you might have family interactions, or even like a good family. Holy fuck. Some kids have a horrible family. Like if you ever had like parents who fought or something like that.
He makes a valid point.
Bullied in the building.
That's kind of a valid
or maybe
point.
Your dad's kind of like verbally abusive to you or something like that, you know, and it makes it fucking cringe to be at home. Like I like the school can be a place where even if the fucking teachers suck, even if they fucking think that they're learning shit, or, you know, whatever, and it's all fucking whitewashed bullshit history, like at least they could be with some friends, or at least get to socialize, have the opportunity for themselves. Like I'm not saying of course we can't do better, I'm just saying at the very least, that's the reality, and as I see it, with no data to back it up. That's just my feelings.
All right, GSU has come in here, and he has feelings, and he wishes to express them. This is going to escalate a lot farther than I thought it was going to be for the subject. I thought this was just an easy subject that we could just touch on, but apparently I was wrong about that.
You got parents on the panel, bro.
Yeah, now
we got feels about
panel.
this shit.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes.
All right. GSU.
All right, y'all can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I almost disagree with everything that's been said. And Amanda, you know I love you. But they're talking. My daughter had 3 days where she had to do remote learning. The entire class was talking the entire time. All the little kids were just talking. You couldn't hear nothing. It was absolute madness. And like, this is what happened for like a large part of last year. So it is true that
don't let
something
your
is better than
dreams
nothing,
be
right?
dreams.
I don't know what alternatives to these situations are, but I think I would agree heavily with Spoons that what we have is not like in any way equivalent to what we had before. And I would have to say that I don't know what we do, but I'm all for it. That's why I'm for kids going back to school. And it's dangerous. I know kids can die. There's like 2 kids that died in my district. So now I'm like having to even rethink that and stuff. But I don't know what we do. I feel like if you're a kid right now, it's just terrible for you because there's no good option, right? We can't have them just not in school, so you got to at least try to remote learn. And then they're not really gonna learn in remote learning. Do you hold all the kids back? And they and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but last year they like suspended some of the tests, and they suspended ACT and SAT requirements for getting to college. Like,
they did.
A lot of these things got suspended. So I'm not here saying that I know that there's a solution, but I can say what happened last year, I think, was atrocious. And it probably was the best that could have happened, right? I'm not here saying that I know of something that could have been better, but that's my thoughts. On work from home, everybody was absolutely wrong. Work from home is dope. I'll never go back to office again. There's no company who could pay me enough money.
I think there's a social strain on it a little bit, but I am much more content working from home. I will agree with you 100%, and I get a hell of a lot more done.
All right, let's go to Amanda, who has feelings too. And I'm loving this. I'm loving we're breaking friendships. I love to see it. Another PrimeCayes success story. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah. So again, that is something that's just inherently wrong with schools in general.
Biscuit's a follower. She comes around all the time.
What did they have, like 3 months
to
put a plan together?
I hope I didn't misgender.
If even, I
God
know
damn,
that
it's so bad sometimes.
my district had like 3 weeks because of the way our governor fucked over local control of school districts. But
oh yeah, that's right, because you're Elon Musk's girlfriend,
like,
Grimes.
some teachers rose
Biscuit
to
is
the
Grimes, by the way, in case you guys didn't know.
Again, it's better for some people, so let's have that as an option.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying it shouldn't have been an option. I'm saying that it's not a good option, though. It's just the best option and absolutely terrible.
Because again, I know some kids that like that did extremely well. I was really surprised that my kids did so well because, well, they're like me, and one's more ADHD, the other one's more autistic. It's so much fun in our house. But it's very dependent upon the child, the person who's teaching them, district, and which is why, again, that choice needs to be there.
Would you agree that
bow down,
there were
bitches,
kids that did well last year, but for the vast majority of Americans, it probably was a negative? It was far more.
I mean, but there's always children that fall behind, and
results
I think some
may
of these
vary.
children that get, and again, it's not strict to online education. Like, someone give me an argument that's actually strict to online education, like that makes online
CTV's up in this bitch. You see that 8 ball in the corner? That's CTV.
The
socialization, right?
Yes.
Oh shit!
I feel like
it's about to get live in here.
To do that, right? You can still go to sports. You can, like, after school activities. There's other ways to socialize.
Well, certain age groups can, but they didn't have.
Oh yeah, permit for concealed carry. Why shouldn't you just be able to carry a gun?
That's why they didn't have
whatever way you want.
Jason.
So I guess I thought the question was more like the continuing virtual education without the pandemic.
I don't know what any question was. I heard y'all talking, and I was like, I'm jumping in. I have no context for what the background question was at all.
Yeah.
So his opinion is irrelevant now.
Got
that's
him.
how that works.
That's
Um,
okay.
Rento.
Potentially. Yeah.
Me and
CCV.
you.
Okay.
No one
CCV
wants to
Rento.
talk about this, Captain.
I am here.
I actually, no, well, fine. The crypto thing, I actually do want to
billion dollars.
It might have to be a 1v1 to do that. I don't know if anyone else has strong opinions on crypto. But I will.
Cryptocurrency?
Yeah, cryptocurrency.
Yeah, cryptocurrency.
Oh boy. Oh, I mean,
Very
yeah,
strong
she actually.
opinions.
You
You
actually.
gonna lose all your money?
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
She actually is actually on your side. I forgot about that.
That's right, dude. Because he
okay.
fucking knows what he's talking about.
All right. Well,
I would love to hear somebody who knows what they're talking about.
But before then, oh man, he's calling you out. Amanda, you still with us? Amanda?
Let me leave and come right back because my camera's not working.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm losing the internet.
No. Because I want to hear more of this conversation.
These are the real tragedies.
I think
of
I
global
missed, but
warming.
like, were we talking about how like online education is supposed
Look
to
how
be
I'm in the middle.
just
I
as
look
good
so
as in
good, don't
person? Is that like a thing?
That's what I thought it was too, but apparently it's not.
So it's I will say. Okay,
didn't even
so
put
the
on movie makeup.
conversation is talking about a replacement for, like, okay, since we're in a situation where a pandemic is unrelenting, and like we're going to have to deal with this despite having the vaccine. We're still going to have to deal with.
Oh, thanks,
infections.
Bisky.
And remember, kids cannot, at least in the U.S., they're not approved for the vaccine at this point in time, right? And kids can still die. That's the thing that happens. It's rare. It's rare. But kids can still die. Or not just die, but be infected in other ways, right? So there's that too. So under those circumstances, right, is remote learning a good enough replacement? I was thinking of a better word, but an adequate replacement. And considering all the downsides of social learning. So, like, there's what you said, GSU Gambit, which I think is interesting, right? But there's also that, like, just like in terms of socialization, like it's easier for older kids, right? But for younger kids, for young kids, they don't socialize like we do, right? When we are socializing, like I can easily socialize with Gambit and get to know him, right, over a stream because we have a bunch of experiences and we can talk and relate to them, right? Like, oh, we have this in common. That's amazing. But for kids, they don't have that, right? They're literally gaining those experiences, and so trying to relate with someone over Zoom, they relate in like being together and doing things, right?
Yeah,
Not
making
past
mistakes.
experiences. Yeah, not past
Making
experiences.
mistakes and seeing others. Yeah, no, go
I
ahead.
mean,
Exactly, current experiences.
to be
So-
fair, like even like you like now, I love being on panels like this and stuff, and like I've met some really cool people online. But like even on like online interaction is not the same as like in-person interaction. Like we realize that, right? Like there are so many things that are like missing in terms of like even with a camera, sure, you get like a little bit of body language, but there's a lot of things that like you miss out on when you're talking to somebody over the internet.
I feel close to you, like we've been brothers, Adam. And for you to say this now, that like our relationship isn't as real.
Well, there's a
sure,
tactile
lot of
experience,
things
right?
with online in the relationships that can be very real and very like awesome. And it's a really like my favorite thing about online interactions is I can like talk to people from so many walks of life because I live in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Ohio. I'm never going to get exposed to like a lot of the things that I've been exposed to online. But like online has let me do that. However, like it's not an adequate replacement for like interpersonal relationship.
Thank you so much, Bisky. That's a really sweet thing to say.
It should be there. I think it's a good thing, and it should be there like alongside. Right?
Interacting during this pandemic.
Honestly, as someone who has really followed all the COVID restrictions, if it wasn't for people like Prime and the parasocial relationships that I've cultivated, I don't know if I really would have been here. Like it's pretty
Same,
great. I really like getting to kind of know you guys in a one-sided sort of way.
I love all my
It's nice of it.
parasocial relationships, guys. Hi.
I treat online relationships exactly like I treat real life relationships.
We're calling them parasocial relationships, right? That recognizes the difference between like a parasocial relationship and an actual social relationship.
I don't know. I thought that too, but then I was like, I don't know. Prime's like 17,000 followers. What the fuck, parasocial relationship? Like, I'm sorry. No offense, Prime. I wish you were bigger. I think you deserve far more fucking followers, frankly.
It doesn't matter how many views he has.
That was a lot of F's. I like that. Far more fucking followers.
The parasocial, I don't know. I just view him as like an equal and like a person who's trying to like do a thing that's pretty fucking cool that I personally fucking invest in.
Well,
like,
this is news to me. I'm your equal. I just.
More like a comrade, maybe.
I made it abundantly clear that he's a tyrant. Right? He rules these panels with an iron fist.
I mean, it is true, Prime. From where you're at, you're always going to be looking up to me, right?
No. You're my para-villain, CTV. I'm sorry.
But, okay, I'll say this just about myself. Captain Jones was saying that like he doesn't know anyone.
Carlsberg, spread the word. The beer is real.
Today, that happened. I was one of those people who wasn't damaged because I had been doing it for a long time, long before this pandemic. I've been keeping away from other people.
New people like, jumping on, just so you know, I'm trying to hit 50. 50 people. And so if you follow, I'll take a dab.
This for a very long time. But I am a fucking
party
weirdo.
on, party people.
And it's
I like to dab and debate.
But I'm a weirdo, so I don't want to put that on other people.
Yeah, no, the whole social thing. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys were students, maybe topped off, and I don't know, but if you seem to be around my age bracket. Brento, even you seem to be like university age-ish, like near the upper end of it.
No, past that shit.
Yeah, past that shit.
No.
Well, point being, like I don't know, like anyone else here, but the shit sucked, like hard socially. I lost what I started my freshman year of college, and now I'm a junior, and I'm finally getting back. It sucked ass. The schoolwork sucked. It was more work. It was harder. Test scores, I know, of everyone dropped. Grades in general of everyone dropped. Just fucking relationships in general, like, rotted away. Like, I don't see any positive of online learning whatsoever.
Yeah, because, like, so, like when you're online, you have to, like, actively message someone, right? You have to be like, right, I'm going to go and talk to this person now. Whereas you're in person, if someone stood right next to you, you're not just going to fucking ignore them, are you, right? You're going to make a conversation. You're just going to be like... You're gonna say something.
I don't know. I've had some shitty teachers.
There's just a lot of evidence out there that online learning is just not as effective as like in-person learning. For one, like just from a physical standpoint, there's a lot of things that you can't do online that you can do in person. Like for example, like science labs. Like science labs are such an effective tool for teaching like certain topics, and like that's not something you can really do online. I guess if you want to like nail everybody the parts and like kind of do it, but if like someone's making a mistake, it's really hard to correct. Like there's so many like things that like now, not to say that like sometimes like during the pandemic it's necessary maybe, but like the goal is always to get back to in-person learning because like at the moment there's no better way of learning things.
Yeah,
I agree. I think we've got to be in person.
In the front of the classroom, I mean,
eventually.
in front of the classroom, you're probably going to, know a lot more. You're going to be paying attention a lot more than you sit in the back of the classroom. Now, instead in the back of the classroom, I'm like 20 miles away in my house, still in pajamas, if I am even wearing pants, having you muted while watching YouTube. I'm not going to learn.
I had no problem sleeping right in front of teachers in the front row. I didn't give a shit.
Oh, same.
You got balls, man! Holy crap! I wouldn't have done that.
It's way easier for that teacher to try to hold you accountable to not sleeping than it is for a teacher to do so remotely.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, look where you ended up, Prime. Look where you ended up.
Talking on the internet. I've always been pantsless this whole time. I'm sorry, Prime.
No, I know.
Hey, I am JJ. I'm really glad you shared that.
Does
Hey, he
any
came in
man
here
here?
shirtless,
I
right?
Any
feel
man
Did
here?
everybody forget there's a lady in the room? Did everybody forget
I'm
that?
very uncomfortable
CTV,
right
it's
now.
okay.
Where you just go fucking weird? Is that what happened here? We're
Well,
just gonna go
truthfully,
weird
though,
whenever we can all see there's a lady in the room.
Truthfully,
You know
though,
what I mean?
my viewers want to know how
CTV.
Prime
Pretty
does
sure-
this without taking a bathroom break. Because holy crap, dude, you're like 6 hours in. Like, where? Like, I don't understand it. You
I'll
wear
do
a
it straight
catheter?
8 hours.
You know?
This is why I don't ask permission. I just go do what the fuck I'm gonna do. Right? I just go do my business and come back.
I go for straight 8 hours and like without
What you
taking a
don't-
bathroom break.
We don't
yeah.
know is Prime is
The
incredibly
trick is to
bottom
never
heavy.
drink water.
You know, bot-
Hair. Hair, all his organs just gigantic and swollen in the bottom half of them. That's why you never see him get up.
I've actually never seen the lower half of Prime. We don't know
I told you he's
that
very
he
bottom
actually
heavy.
has.
He doesn't have a
veins.
lower half.
I have.
I've seen-
Not,
I've
not
seen
that
him
that's a
in
bad
private
thing if he
calls,
doesn't,
and
but
it's-
I don't
it's
think I've
hair.
ever.
He's very
Prime's got
bottom
short
heavy.
energy. How tall's Prime?
I am. I'm absolutely part of the No Pants Club. Sorry, that's the way I roll here.
Oh, yeah.
Just letting you know. I don't know. Do any of these men have pants on? Is there any?
No, I got sweatpants.
I
I
can't
am
tell
wearing
you.
pants.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright, well,
Shorts.
you guys.
You know.
You don't
I'm
want
shorts.
not enjoying your fucking freedom. Okay. Anyway.
I have
so-
roommates, okay?
No one
I
can
I
see
don't
my
want to see that
pants.
shit.
I might need to try that no pants thing while I'm
Special
streaming. That
people.
could be good.
It's
Yeah,
real easy. All you have to do is take your pants off.
If your pants
Boom.
aren't shown, then they're
Also,
theoretical as
by
far
the
as I'm
way,
concerned.
I'm
Um,
assuming all of you no pants people are wearing boxers, right? You're not just freeballing it on your fucking gaming chairs, right?
No, no.
Boxers.
I'm wearing boxers and I have a pad. Like a
I
pad.
would not like to have anyone's answers to this question.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so back to school.
Who asked you,
Back
Amanda?
to school. Back to
Anyways.
school.
So who's
I
here
make my
for
child wear
online school
pants
so
when
I can
she's
yell
getting
at you?
educated online. I'm just gonna say that.
I think Amanda is here for online education, right?
Amanda, why?
Yeah,
And
why?
I
Like,
thought I trusted
not-
you.
So
I
I'm
think
just
it
saying.
should be an option.
Like
No,
in
of course
general?
not.
Like
Yeah, like forever.
Why?
For all
Why?
grade levels or certain grade
So-
levels?
But
So-
not
Have like
no for
classrooms with
everybody.
20 kids, and then
Like,
you know,
why
little
is-
Susie in the corner.
Wait, hey,
It should be an available
Amanda
resource.
talk?
It should not be the sole
Wait.
Yeah,
source of
Amanda.
education.
Hey, we asked Amanda a question. Can we let her answer it?
I just
Looks
think
like
that
that.
there's ways to
The son's
accommodate
scary.
children
It's not my
in
friend. He
different
wants to
ways.
hurt me. Safer.
Accommodate children. There are some children that learn better online, that have better environments at home than they do at school.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And like,
I mean, I
and-
guess it
and-
depends
and
on what you
so-
mean. Like accommodating people with, like disabilities and stuff like that, like through online education already
Anybody.
happens. But like,
I just think parents can make that decision. Why can they not?
I mean,
Totally.
parents
I
can
actually
already
agree with
make
that.
that decision.
I
There are
100%
tons of
agree with that.
public
100.
online
Yeah,
schools available.
absolutely.
But
That
You
is like a
shouldn't have
really
to-
good
But
take.
when you
Dude,
make
how can
okay,
you not
let me
agree with
let's
that?
make it clear. When you make the decision as a parent to like online educate your school, in general, for like the vast majority of students, you are giving them a less quality of education in exchange for something, right? Now, in some cases, if like a student like literally can't engage in school, then like maybe their quality of education increased. But like the like in-person education is just proven to be so much more effective than online, and like giving like I guess the option it should be there, but like we shouldn't be pushing it as like the norm. Like the goal
But
should
all
be
the
to
data-
create like situations and environments in which people can learn in person better, because that's just a better way to learn.
The goal and the environment
All the
is that
data-
you're all vaccinated, and so that it's a non-issue. Like
Well, it's not even based on
the
that.
only reason
That's
that
arguing
people
that.
say that schooling shouldn't in-person schooling shouldn't be a thing is because the kids and their families are not vaccinated. If everyone's vaccinated, we can go back to normal. And you know what?
No, we can't.
There's enough vaccines for fucking
Okay.
everyone.
I don't
so why
want to
not?
go back to normal.
Everyone was
I don't
vaccinated.
fucking
You
want to go
still
back to
have to
normal.
wear masks.
We can get better than normal. Okay, fine,
You
Amanda.
guys are
We
like
agree.
totally avoiding like the entire like within the disability justice advocacy and community and stuff. This is something that's really important to them and me. Like you guys are like using a mind that is somewhat ableist. Sorry, but it is. Like you are not thinking of all these people that it could help and this continued structure and all your
No.
guys' research bullshit.
Talk
No, hold on.
bullshit.
Is
Wait, wait.
no. All your research is based off on education that was
majority.
thrown together No, on an educational
up.
system that was thrown an educational
This
system that was
one.
thrown together. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. An educational system that was fucking thrown together in like 3 or 4 weeks or a month. I don't even know how long. Not to mention this was like this wasn't optimal time for this. Like it's not like it was planned and that we had all this set up. Like we can't go off research that was just thrown out there.
Wait, people have been studying online learning.
They all keep
for
over
like
talking her. Even I did it. I feel like a jerk.
Like
Yeah,
online
but
learning
She needs to be able to say her
like,
piece too.
like a year and a half ago.
Infrastructure hasn't been there, but the infrastructure to support this has not been there, and it's finally catching up. And like I was talking about with the disability community and advocates and stuff.
Me too.
They
I
are
actually
so
do.
happy
I
that
think
we're
that there
finally
should be
catching
the
up.
option,
Like,
absolutely,
do you guys have
but
any
it should
idea
be built
how hard, like,
really
even
solidly.
in rural areas where they finally have fucking internet, there's people that can that are so much more accommodated online. Like I don't get where this lack of like.
So what you're saying is that you feel like this option works for some people, but you keep referencing the disability, and we're not trying to like ignore the disability, but we're just talking about the majority of people here.
But it's always the majority we think about. Like we need to think about the minority.
But it should be important for you to say that. Like you should
she's
say that.
we should use this. She's saying we should use this opportunity to
but you're not
people with other needs, and she's absolutely correct.
But you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's how it should be phrased. It should be phrased as this is a good
I think we agree.
for certain communities, not a broad statement of this is equivalent with in-person learning.
Virtual learning should just be made available to everybody who wants it. That should be it. That's it.
Well, yes, exactly.
So we'll go to Amanda and then Agent.
Yeah, so I want to make a point that like when there's more people involved in a structure, it typically makes it better. So, like, I think it should just be.
But there are losses across the board.
So we gotta go to Agent, then Dolphin, and GSC gonna go after that.
Okay, so like I'm pretty sure when Top Dolphin brought up like disabled people earlier, he got shut down, and it was like, no, it should be an option for everyone. No, it shouldn't be an option for everyone. We already put a bunch of stress on teachers as it is. Now you're gonna have them throw like 20 kids in a classroom plus like 3 MacBooks in the back, and like that could be like 3 other students.
God, he is missing the point. The virtual education doesn't have to be in the same school. Oh Jesus!
Like, what are they gonna do for projects? What are they going to do for fucking, like, other activities with participation? Like, how is that going to affect the other students? Am I supposed to work in a team project with, like, 3 people on a MacBook from home? Like, if you're severely disabled and you physically can't come to the building, sure, that's already been an option besides that, but I don't see what other way this would ever be a positive. You're putting more burden on teachers.
I gotta speak on this. I gotta speak on this.
Plus, it's ineffective in general, the education of like learning online. And the whole idea that this was thrown together last second, spring 2020, I'll give that to you. It was thrown around last second. But how about like the whole last school year? Like, what do you like?
Frankly,
fall 2020, spring 2021 had a whole planned out summer before that, and the education was still shit. I know it was shit. I lived through it. I got family members who's also through it. It was shit.
Again, though, this is like. Yeah, this is not inherently to virtual.
I'm gonna lose my shit, man. God damn it! He's so freaking dumb. I'm sorry, that was a stupid ass take.
Strengthen, and yes, it should be available for everybody because even if someone doesn't have a disability, doesn't mean that they don't learn better in certain environments.
I mean,
so you should.
Those people just don't learn better online. Like this is just the way it is.
So for a very small subset, so for like what percent? So like an extremely small subset of people who learn
we
better
construct
on MacBook,
systems. We don't construct systems for.
You're telling me that 100% of kids don't do better online. All kids.
No, I'm just saying we don't structure our educational system for the 0.01% that do.
I say a strong majority of kids do better in person.
I'm not disagreeing.
I think that if we're are we really this is kind of the reality.
Hold
on, no. I've been waiting for a while. I've been waiting for a while, man.
Wait, hold on.
Listen.
I was literally up next now. So chill the fuck out.
No, y'all aren't thinking like big picture here. This is all like little shit. Come on.
Hold on. I'm about
don't
to
worry.
go there,
You're on the
buddy.
list. You're on the list. But go ahead, Adam, and then
Right.
H9, you're on the list.
So we wouldn't use this for like anything else. Like we wouldn't tell like parents that if they like because there's blind and deaf people out there, if we don't want your like children to engage in hearing or seeing or like learn language to be able to talk, then that's fine. Like that's not now just because like there are people with disabilities, that doesn't mean we structure the systems that we create to like always account for those. Like we should account for the disabilities, but we shouldn't necessarily structure them to like cater to them exclusively at the detriment to like the population.
Bro, I took climate science online and did labs from home, so I don't want to hear that you can't do labs from home. I'm sorry, I did it. You know what though? You can do studies from home. You can do studies virtually. I 100% agree that they should be made available. I think they should be heavily regulated, and we should be on top of those schools because they're virtual, just like you would, just like we should be with our brick and mortar schools, anyways. That we're not always on top of. But you know what? Having these options available to families that need them or want them because of either way of life, handicap, whatever it is, we should be focused in on how can we educate our kids, how can we give them all an education. If they want to do it virtually, fine. If they want to do it in brick and mortar, that's fine too. But you know what I care about is making sure that kid gets a good education and not a dog shit education. That's it. And there's a way to do both. There's a way to do it virtually and there's a way to do it in brick and mortar. They are different approaches, but they can both be done. They need to be funded right, they need to be regulated right, and there needs to be good oversight. But yes, it can happen.
Okay, so we're gonna go to
science labs, the arts.
We got to go to Gambit, JJ, CTV, H9. Yeah. Oh, and then Amanda, you can respond as we go along because everyone's talking to you.
Let me know when you guys are ready to elevate the conversation instead of this high school shit.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, we're talking about school.
Okay, at what point, and then we'll go to Gambit, right?
Yeah, so the other thing is a positive. Right now, a lot of kids that are homeschooled would potentially move to virtual online education. So then they don't have to adhere to
for
the
concealed
guidelines
carry.
and
Why
make
shouldn't you
lesson
just be
plans.
able
And
to
so
carry
there'll
a
be
gun
more
in
public
whatever way
funding
you want?
because more children will be going to school that way. So I just want to make that argument.
Okay,
right now, when people are
I
homeschooled,
would just say people who
school doesn't
homeschool
get
their
funded.
kids are generally pretty stupid.
Yeah,
and they shouldn't do it,
But maybe I'm wrong, but isn't public funding for school through property taxes? And even if you homeschool your kids, you're still paying property taxes. So how is the funding going to go up?
The schools get more funding based on how many kids attend their school.
Yeah, but still the
so
same
if the
pool
kid
of
is
money.
attending,
They're still like
no, they get more. Every child is worth a certain
Recommend
amount.
a
It's like
PragerU video for you, dude.
Yeah, every child's worth a certain amount of money.
Y'all talking about two different ways.
But more
that
money
they're
wouldn't
funded.
be raised.
No. One of them,
I'm not
one way that schools are funded is through property taxes. Another way is the state gives them money. She's talking about how the state gives money for the kids.
Yep.
So that's but one thing that we can say is that we know schools are underfunded right now, and having to take on the burden of having a online and offline option would be catastrophic to most school systems. They just don't have the funding to do both. And I've talked to just a plethora of teachers since Corona. There's not a single teacher, and maybe Amanda, maybe you teach, but there's not a single teacher I've talked to that said they would rather be in an online learning. Like there isn't one that I've talked to. Out of like the vast majority, I even did podcasts with a few of them. None of them recommended online learning for like all of the reasons I listed. Yeah, because of all the reasons I listed earlier. So like there's a funding problem too, because having to support this and still support the vast majority of people who are going to want to attend school in school, because school is more than just like learning. It's also a place where kids can go and be safe so parents can work. So the amount of people that are going to be able to take advantage of this type of system of staying at home would also mean that there's probably a parent or someone older than 18 that's able to stay home. That's already a significantly small amount of our population. So I don't see loads and loads of people being able to take advantage of this.
I just don't see where we're disagreeing or why I'm really confused, and I want CTV to take it to a higher level.
I think that your problem is, and CTV is not next. JJ is next. But JJ CTV the H9. But I think I mean, what I understand is that all Amanda is saying is that this is a option that should be available for those who need it, and
I'm
you
saying
all
schools
agree.
don't have, I'm saying schools don't have enough money to support this. They don't have enough money to support.
Then they need to be given more money to support it. That's it.
Wait,
hold on. Only if it was that easy.
I only have 2 points, and I think after CTV talks, I'll have like another 5 points. Maybe CTV should go before me, then I'll go after that.
Wait. Hold on. I want Amanda
Or I can go
to
right now.
respond to that though. No, I want Amanda to respond to that because you seem like you're saying nobody's responding to my point. I directly did. Schools didn't have money before Corona for standard operations. Now you're saying that each grade level is going to have some remote teacher as well as what they had before, as well as replacing all of the devices that the kids break every day and all of this other stuff. Like, we know schools don't have this money, and the just give them more money 5 is, I can't even believe I was actually said, but it was. But like,
well,
so
why wouldn't we do that? We give money to all sorts of other bullshit. We need to give money to the schools.
You can't just we're just gonna give them more money. It'll solve the problem. That's not how that works.
It's money and resources. It's an infrastructure. And I think Amanda actually addressed that when she was talking about the need to build out the infrastructure for our schools.
I don't know what the question was.
About infrastructure.
Given that schools didn't have money to properly educate kids before Corona, how is a more expensive system in that they'd have to hire a remote teacher, they'd have to be able to ship devices and replace devices, and the cost around that, given all of these new costs, how could a system that was already suffering take on this really big burden and provide a better education to all kids?
Get more deficit, bro. Just build up the deficit.
Let Amanda respond, and then we'll go to you, JJ. You're next.
What I hear,
JJ's feeling me.
I'm in my feelings right now. Is
JJ's feeling me. Yes, deficit spend and give the money to the schools to do the job.
Wait, can I clarify something? Because you're at, like, PrimeCayes going, I don't know, or someone said like I don't know what, like, people are disagreeing with Amanda.
In Arizona, they have a whole ass different schools that are in the district that are virtual schools. They're whole ass different schools. They just need to be funded better.
Special accommodations and who are have special circumstances, but the norm should be going to person in school if we can get back to that. And she pushed back on it. I just want to make that like really fucking clear. Like, I tried to like reach out an olive branch.
Appreciate the 4 months.
You're not muted, Gambit.
How you been doing? It's been a while.
I would love if CTV just went before me so I could rebuke his claims.
Dan, you really want to talk?
I've been waiting for this shit.
CTV.
And then me.
No, I've been sitting there waiting this fucking long on this.
Go.
Order whenever the conversation's been relevant. So by God, fucking let's stick with the fucking order, since you didn't want to elevate the conversation when it should have been elevated like 10 fucking minutes ago.
All right, buddy. I'm sure it's really hard in a submarine. Okay, so first of all, kids, they want to go to, even though they don't want to do schoolwork, they want to make friends. Kids will have a lot more fun just going to school and ignoring what their teachers say and making friends. I'm sure everyone can relate to that. All right, that's my first point. Second point is no one wants COVID. Why would you go to school and just spread COVID to your parents if you could not do that? My third point and final point is schools are broke. They're doing all they can to educate your kids, and they're trying their best. But people who don't get vaccinated and keep spreading the fucking virus around are the problem. And if you're not vaccinated and you haven't been social distancing, then fuck you. You're the problem.
True.
Based.
I would like to say, not fuck you, just please go get vaccinated. Thank you.
Yes, please get vaccinated, but also fuck you.
Okay, all right, CTV, we're ready for it. Please, let it happen. Wash all over us.
Anybody fighting back against this idea is just being short-sighted. Just like you can't see how technology is going to continue to develop and how access to the internet is going to continue to spread. And then, like, what's going to end up happening is there's going to end up being more remote learning happening. That way, communities can get together and socialize their kids that way, right? So this is where like a program like School Choice would actually go a long way to kind of solve some of these problems instead of, keeping perpetuating.
Choice to spread the virus. I'm
saying fucking moving forward. Let the parents have the ultimate fucking control.
Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you're fucking smart.
Well,
school choice has kind of eviscerated public education in Arizona because of charter schools. So
you got a Mona
I'm not a
Lisa
fan
in the
of that.
background. Somehow you're supposed to be like a Renaissance man. Is that kind of what's going on?
No, I have random things in my background every night, dude.
Right. So when you make a statement like that, and that's the best
I don't
kind of
have a
line you
fucking
got
gun.
as a comeback, that lets me know that you came with your gun fucking unchambered to start. Okay. So school choice gives the parents back the fucking control. Why would
school
anybody here
choice
have this
just
fucking
makes
problem?
School choice only makes privileged people more privileged because they can choose the school they go to because they don't have to send their kids to underprivileged schools. Come on, man.
Or perhaps maybe it actually gives poor parents the ability to be able to take that money and invest in their child into the schools that they want if they wanted to be able to remote learn.
School. It's your next anyway. H9 and then itty bitty.
Hey, Prime.
My one question. Let's go for it.
Wait. JJ, did you used to have a different username? Oh, he muted.
JJ. I thought it was something like
When?
that.
He muted.
No, it's been JJ for like 6 months.
Okay, never mind. I'm confusing you with somebody. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Right,
let's
to
go to
off on
H9 and then itty bitty. Go ahead.
To go off on my tangent, college education is dramatically different than high school and the lower levels. Like, you cannot do online learning, and online learning is not a one-to-one substitute in almost any circumstance, but especially in high school and lower educations, just because the socialization skills, the interpersonal skills, the ability to follow directions, this is all built in person in schools from grade preschool to grade 12, whenever you leave public school. This is just built. I will say, like, it's a lot easier for a university to throw a webcam up in some professor's lecture hall and to put a Zoom link in the syllabus. That's pretty simple. And a lot of college courses are set up for a professor just to lecture 90 minutes and leave. But that is not what happens in any high school or any middle school in America. There's talking, there's control of the classroom, there's learning like how to communicate.
Yeah,
These things can't be done in a virtual classroom or a virtual learning experience. And it would be idiotic to make current public schools do this or somehow write a curriculum to like meet the needs of these students and to also integrate that into
We already do it in Arizona, guys. We already do it here. Like, it's already happening in our
acting
state.
like there aren't teachers who also want to work from home, which I know plenty that do and could potentially sign up to work all over the fucking country if they're doing it virtually. And you're acting like kids go to school and then go home to their caves or something.
Bro, like this is happening in Arizona. We already have this here. Like we have schools in our districts that are virtual learning schools. So this isn't something that isn't happening already. This isn't a hypothetical. It actually is happening. So bettering on those systems, it can work. Absolutely, because it's already happening and it's already working in a lot of school districts.
But that doesn't mean it's happening.
This has been a thing. Online learning's been a thing for a while for like whole school districts in Arizona.
Yeah, we have high schools. We've had high schools for like over 10 years that were online high schools here. Primavera High School is one of the biggest ones. They've been around forever.
There's also publicly like high schools, like alternative high schools that are online, virtual.
Yeah, the school system's like way more robust than like a lot of people experience. Like there's a lot of other options for people who have really bad experiences or have disabilities and can't go to normal schools and stuff like that. That are publicly available and publicly funded.
These are special needs students who need special attention or special education or special things. This is like at a specialized number.
That is not what Primavera High School is. That is not what Primavera High School is. Anybody can go there.
special circumstance, but like they're I mean they're just it's not only people's like they are available and we could like increase funding to them. So like just to be very clear, my issue is when we say that like this should be like everyone should just do this because that's like a really like kind of
No.
scary thing, and it's like
I don't think everybody should be in online schooling.
It's just like not the way the world works. I don't know.
I think that people who choose that for them because it's right for them should be in online schooling.
Primavera High School in Arizona is a charter school. You don't seem the type to be for charter schools, man.
I'm not for charter schools, but the simple fact is they exist, and we could easily bleed that over into the public school system and model the same thing.
Oh, let's go.
And COA is a virtual school that's a public school, by the way.
Go ahead, Amanda, and then Itty Bitty.
Yeah, no, CTV is exactly right. We're always talking about the future of technology, so why are we not doing it here in education?
Because the infrastructure is not there. Neither is the support, nor it's also not effective.
Which I addressed at the beginning.
With the Debs.
So
it's not an argument.
wait, Amanda, what do you mean when you say like why are we looking at the future of technology and education?
I'm living in reality here.
I'll do that for you anyways.
We'll get back to that. Hold on a second, Adam. I gotta let Itty Bitty in. Excuse me, Itty Bitty in.
Oh, hello. Hi, can you hear me all okay?
Yeah, indeed we can.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. This is the first time on the panel, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much, Prime, to have these panels. Really nice. I think everybody had a lot of really good points this evening, and I know it's going to be hard for the rest. You know, the pandemic is here to stay pretty much in one way or another, or we're going to have to deal with it for a long time. I want to kind of bring a little bit of a twist on, or not a twist. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal. It's October 6, 2020. I don't know if anybody is here familiar with Evanston, Illinois, in Chicago. It's like north of Chicago. It's got some pretty nice area to it. Recently, back then, a Dr. Devin Horton was hired to come in and to address the academic achievement gap that was falling along racial lines in his community. And so he was taking a very anti-racist approach to this problem.
We'll call it one, though. It was kind of weak.
With the pandemic going on at the same time. He called it inequity and racism and classism. He also said this is about equity for Black and Brown students, for special education, for our LGBT and Q students. So I think this is like, what I'm getting at is that it's definitely going to be different for each community, and they're going to have to make decisions on what's best for their community, which is kind of nice to have that local input. Now, he it didn't come with a lot of very thank yous or well wishes. He got a lot of angry letters and he got death threats. The Black and Latino students are 1/3 as likely in his district, or as less likely as white students to meet college readiness benchmarks. And the white families in the area, average household is 3 times that of the Black and Latino families in Evanston. Evanston is a pretty progressive. It's got a university up there. They're also have already started. They're one of the few cities in the country that have already started like preparations for descendants of from slavery in the United States. I guess so he's having some of the he's prioritizing the Black and the Brown students and the LGBT community and special education so that they can come into the school, and everybody else, they're going to have to stay at home. And of course, a lot of people didn't like that. Now he said he would like, so they also brought up points of, in a letter response to a lot of the people who weren't happy with it. When they did the remote, when school districts went remote this past spring due to the pandemic, for example, many stopped grading work because they recognized that some students' homes might not be conducive for schoolwork. We want to, quote, we don't want to penalize students for what their home life might be. So there's a lot of other, I think, factors that we need to consider in the question about whether or not, is remote schooling good for some students, maybe not for others, but, so that's kind of my take.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know if I heard you wrong. Did you say he said students of color should come back to school, but people who aren't students of color shouldn't?
Correct. Yes.
Oh wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah, only Black and Latino students, basically all of the marginalized students in the community at his school were going to be allowed to come back to school.
Was the COVID infection rates particularly high when this policy was made?
I don't know. The article doesn't mention that. But Illinois did have some pretty high rates, and Chicago was having some problems. I know there was some of the highest rates in the state of Illinois. So yes. To answer your question or the other question, yes, it was just going to be Black, Latino, LGBTQ, and special education students would be allowed to go back to school, and everybody else would have to stay at home. So
has anti-racism ever produced something good? Is it always this bad?
I don't.
This seems like one of the dumber
it's not
takes.
necessarily I have one opinion one way or not other about it. It's just that I hope this kind of brings up at least some other types of thoughts about this, because it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it than just whether or not kids learn better at home or not. Anyway, that's what I have to say for it now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Itty Bitty. Thank you.
I can't believe the school district is doing that. That's insane. Like I'm just sitting here trying to wrap my brain around that.
Yeah, do you have an article or something?
Yeah, I can link it.
Oh,
yeah.
We'd love to see it. Yeah, thank you so much.
I can definitely believe.
Where would you like me to link it?
Evanston is really crazy progressive sometimes.
You can link it either in the VC chat or the Twitch chat. The VC chat's a channel inside the Discord.
Okay, I'll put it in VC chat.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah. So equitability in these cases can score be anti-racist. All right. I'm definitely gotta check this out. I'm gonna look at this later on. Man, yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. So, what do the rest of you think?
I mean, okay. First off, the idea that like we should send Black people back to school but white people back to school so that they can all go get infected with COVID, that sounds really sketch,
Sounds like anti-racism.
That is like a horrible concept. I can't see how that works out for really anybody.
Weird. So, but like, all I want to say, I have to leave, but all I want to really say is that like, oh gosh, you know who I wish was here? Kiyo-san, because he knows so much about education. But yeah, he studies education. That's like his thing. But like, in general, there are like lots of different ways that children learn. This is like correct, and like we should put a lot of effort into like into like finding out like which ways are the best ways that children learn, and then implementing them. And there are always going to be students who don't learn the bestest ways because they're disabled, because they have special circumstances, and though like we should provide like extra things for these people. And that like accommodate their needs, and we should put funding towards it. Like, and if that's all that's being advocated, that Amanda, I don't know where she went, but like is advocating for, I'd be totally on board. But the idea that like every parent should just be able to pull their kid out of school and like, and send them to online school, I guess like, one, that's already kind of a thing. You can kind of do that if you have the resources. But two, like I would never promote that because it just seems that like that's not the best way for most kids to learn. And most parents are stupid, and I would rather have like parents and guidance
mask mandates. Oh my god, like, my daughter's going to school with no mask mandates. It's rather than like freaking killing me, dude. I feel like I'm playing Russian roulette every day sending my kid to school
and just getting less quality education.
So I think this idea of parents being dumb is something I kind of wanted to move towards.
It's true.
Right?
Oh god.
Because we have plenty of examples. Online, you can search for them, of parents being dumb as fuck at these school council meetings, right? At harassing individuals, making like manifestly the wrong choice.
Just PragerU fucking homeschool videos and curricula that they have.
My district is one of those districts. We've been on the news 3 times on the national news for COVID outbreaks. It's horrible. I feel like I play Russian roulette every day I send my daughter to school, but the alternative is that for her, the virtual learning is just really, really bad and needs revamped completely. But yeah, it's scary. It's scary as shit.
Well, if I could add, I used to work with special education, and so I used to work with students that sometimes if you sent homework with them, sometimes, and I don't mean this for all special education students, maybe I shouldn't say that, I apologize. But my point is that the reality is that some parents don't know how to read, or they don't read very well, and that's just a reality. And so sometimes kids are going to really struggle if they're already struggling with their academics.
Thanks for the follow, Vampire Hunter
if
D.
they have parents who are, it's no
It's mandatory dab for that.
They could be foreign. They could be foreign.
Well, yeah, English may not
they
even
can be foreign,
their first language.
they're homework should not be a thing. You should be teaching kids at school.
What? True.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
this is
this
so
is
true.
bad. Homework is like really effective. I hated homework as a kid because I felt like it was useless. But like homework's like really effective for most students.
Yeah, it's
School
effective
should just be an
if you.
extra hour longer and no homework.
It's just a punishment for people with ADHD and depression and ADD.
Sounds like Vampire Hunter D's having a bad night.
That's
Maybe
ridiculous.
he got turned down by his girlfriend.
Because
Didn't
the
get
parents
him.
end up
I guess
doing
you don't
hard
have
luck.
ADHD.
I
That's
do,
good.
but
Good
I
for you, dude.
Right, because you
You
do.
also didn't grow up in an age when I could just check all my answers online. It really doesn't do anything.
True.
Hold on.
The
Actually,
only
this
things
is really
it works
this is
in,
like
I
one
will
of the
admit,
things
is
that,
something like math where you have to memorize the technique. Other than that, it's nothing.
hold on. Even in situations where you just look up the answers online, the fact that you went home and looked up the answers
Suck my
online is
smoke.
better than had you done nothing. So you actually learn more from like cheating on your homework.
That's just
than
proof
do
that
from
you don't
not.
have ADHD. That's all. Like so many
I don't
people
know
like
the whole
are
ADHD
not the sort of people who
Hold
will.
on. I agree with you, but we shouldn't like structure our education system for people with ADHD because that's like not the way that we like create systems, right?
Well, we can sometimes
do
create
homework
systems
and have
ADHD.
Like we're never gonna get rid of like reading on like government fucking like reading government documents because blind people exist, right? Like
You won't say that because you're not blind, Top Dolphin.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
there's
like,
people
What's
who
interesting
just
is that
like,
guy
yeah,
had been around for a while.
it-
Vampire
no,
Hunter
but,
D is
like,
pretty
the
popular.
schooling
Like,
system
I
that we
imagine
have right
somebody
now-
picked that up pretty quick.
the schooling system we have right now is for for like at least half of the populace, but the other half they have shit like ADHD, dyslexia,
Probably more than
and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure it's about half probably.
That you're
Like,
one.
it's probably a lot
depending
more
on
than about
depending
half.
on
The
how many
solution
fucking
to
hot
that
dogs you
isn't
eat.
getting rid of homework. It's providing like additional resources and stuff to those children, right?
There's so much accommodation you can get for ADHD. I have ADHD. You can get more time on tests, more time on homework.
He should have
You
tried
can
being
get
a Sigma
all of the
vampire
notes the
instead.
teacher has
What a pussy.
printed. There's so many special accommodations you can get.
All right, maybe these days, but like earlier on, like there were
Okay,
no
30,
women.
40 years ago,
There were
yeah, sure.
Not,
Wait,
not
I
even
agree
34.
with you,
How
but,
old
like,
do you think I am? Jesus Christ!
the
No, but like
reaction to
even
this-
these days, women get like they don't get
Oh, I
diagnosed
love
with,
Vampire
with
Hunter D.
ADHD
You guys
until
can't hear
they're
me?
in their fucking 30s, and before then they're
I'm
just
talking
like
to y'all.
promiscuous and absent-minded. No. They had fucking ADHD the whole time. It's just because they didn't get documented because they're women.
Yeah,
Wait,
the
like,
reaction to like kids with ADHD generally like homework can be a detriment to them.
mute it
Isn't
when I
that
cough.
we should get rid of homework? It's that we should provide like additional
I try
resources.
to.
Okay,
these
okay,
children.
okay.
Like,
Why
sometimes I don't
should
catch
we
it in
do
time.
homework? If you spend like all your fucking day in school, why should you do homework?
It
Is
teaches you
just
self-directed work.
Yeah, it's
It
reinforcement.
teaches
You
you
definitely want
It teaches you
homework.
to like do overtime without getting paid for overtime. Is
That's
that
I
what-
don't
Schoolwork.
think it's
Overtime,
conditioning
you're not
for
getting
that.
paid.
I really don't
You don't
believe
get
that.
paid for
I think it's
I
reinforcement
see
of what's
Gambit's-
happening
you
at
do
school.
get- because you get
One at a
paid
time,
for
please.
homework,
One at a
though.
time.
I'm not paid. It's not
I
money.
see Gambit's face. and
I
it's
can't
making
hear
me
what you guys
smile.
are saying.
But go ahead.
Was
Gambit,
was
give it a try.
was anybody here advocating against homework a good student or like?
I was a pretty good student.
I got
honor
fucking
roll,
90 on every test I ever did.
I wasn't that good.
But I
but I was
never
honor
did
roll.
homework.
If you
I
did
never did
homework,
homework,
made
but
it
I
higher.
got
You got
90% on every fucking test I ever did.
You
I
went
knew what I was doing.
reinforces
I just didn't.
schoolwork.
I didn't give the school any more than they fucking needed. Fuck them.
As the also that for some
You're
kids who come to
socialist?
school,
Wait,
this
Why
may be
would
the
you
only
hate the
time.
people helping you?
Who helped
This
me?
might-
What?
Your educators, like, I mean, they're there to help you, not to hurt you. Why would you like treat them that way? I mean, they're just people working like us.
You're like, fuck
You
'em.
think I hurt them by not doing homework? No.
No.
I still
it
learned
does,
everything I
because
needed
you know
to know.
what? They have performance reviews that they go through too. Like, so it does in effect hurt them.
If this kid is not
No,
doing his homework
you
in every
have
single class, that's
yourself
not going
That's
to hurt him.
not
as
how
a
you should
teacher.
do it, though. Like,
Uh,
no,
what
homework
happens
has a very, very, very like obvious value. Like,
Yes.
there's value.
Prepare you for
there's-
college.
Yeah, there's value in giving kids work and being like, figure this out on your own time outside of a classroom setting, then bring it here and then
Yeah.
bring it back. There's value in that. There's great value. And like,
It's
like
how
no,
Is
you
there
there's
not
no
value
It's
in
like,
saying no? Fuck you! I'm not going to do that. Like outside of
It's
school
how you know
hours.
you
No,
know
there's not
stuff.
real value in that, no.
Everybody
No,
knows
that's
shit
what
when they're
tests are
sitting
for,
in front of
Gambit.
the teacher.
Gambit, that's what tests are for, buddy.
No,
That's
tests
not
aren't to
homework.
figure out if you've actually learned. Tests when
That's
you
Yeah,
not
no,
how
I
it
got.
works.
that you learned.
I passed
No.
every test with
No.
flying colors, but I never did
Tests are-
any homework the
Hey,
whole time.
I'm
Tests are
glad,
benchmarks if
JJ,
you know
that you're
what-
fucking genius
that.
student number one. But for a lot of students out there, taking like homework is actually the reinforcement of topics that they need in order to pass tests. Because
And
if
that's
they
why it should
didn't
be
do the
optional.
homework, they wouldn't have the full understanding of the topic. Because every time that they did the work, they were guided by a teacher who did.
Right.
who-
Thank you.
And they weren't able to explore the things by themselves.
That
I
makes
feel like
sense.
homework
That
should
makes
be-
sense. Thank you.
I feel like
Like
homework
I
should be optional.
empathize with you
If
too because I was the kid who like didn't need to do homework. I thought it was useless because I could just like understand what we did in class. But for most students, this isn't true.
Yeah, I mean, I did.
I guess
my-
I'm self-centered. I'm
I did my
sorry.
homework
Yeah.
at school,
You're right.
but I
I
still
dropped out,
noticed
got my
the value
GED, and
that
I'm
it
still
had.
saying do homework.
Would you be for doing like homework optional only?
Optional homework?
Yeah. You know, if you're,
So
if you're a kid like
I
JJ,
don't
if you're a kid
think
like
so.
yourself,
I think there's
you don't
value
need
to
to do the
like
homework.
having kids work on things. This was so actually there's something that was like really cool that one of my math teachers did. And I really like this. I don't know how like good it is, but the thing he used to do is like at the beginning of every section, we took a pretest, and any section of the pretest that you passed, you
Yeah, I
didn't have to do the
100%
homework for that
agree.
section.
Coherent dreams.
And
Yeah,
and if you
and I
pass
think
the entire pretest with a good grade,
I
you
think
could just
Top
take
Dolphin
that test
kinda
and,
let
like,
him
opt
have
out
it
of that entire
about
section
that.
of his class.
Is that
Which
a
was really
pretest
Damn.
before you ever learned anything?
That's
or
great.
was it pretest
That's great.
before?
Bro,
The
that guy's
pretest was
based.
exactly the same as the test he gave you at the end of a section.
All right.
Yes, but this is
Right.
before you learned.
I remember
Yeah,
having
before
things
you
like
learned
that
it,
too.
yeah.
I remember
And
that
so,
being
like,
a thing
like, the idea
when I
is
was
that,
in
like,
school.
in general,
I would
most
be for
kids
that.
need to practice. I don't know if
I would
that's
be
good
for
because
that,
it ends
but-
up with like a lot of kids with like wasting time in school doing nothing. But like,
Two more
I mean,
points that would be good about kids going to school. You know, some kids don't. The schools will serve breakfast in the morning to kids, and that may be the first meal they get. And when they get lunch, that could be the second meal they get, and that's the only meal they're going to get all day.
Yep.
Yes.
So that is something else that's beneficial about schools. And then also
Yes.
my second point is that that I'd like to bring up is maybe this is a situation with our technology, because you can imagine the pandemic. You know, if it had been before the internet.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it was pretty
we're
lazy,
pretty
right?
lucky. We've got this type of technology that we can even have this conversation of having homeschooling. So maybe it's just a time where we have to think of, we have to sorry to use this, but we have to reimagine the student education system.
Society
You know, we have to
Radio.
rethink it in a way that will benefit our students, because like I said earlier, the pandemic is not going away to some extent. I mean, I could be, maybe in a few years I'll be wrong, but at least for now, at least for
It
the
wasn't
foreseeable
difficult.
future, that's
was
not
cake.
something that may happen. So maybe we just have to really look at our education system that was designed for in-person classrooms, and then maybe have to really work at it so that we get something new. But like I said, there are some
I scored in
big
the top
advantages that a lot of
95% of the
kids
country when I took my
I would
GED.
really hate to
So
see them do without
I
like
was
the food and the other
heavily
and having
medicated
eyes
back
on
then,
kids.
so I
You know,
can't
there's some
imagine
kids
that I'm the only one.
Sometimes social workers, that's the only time that they're going to have to, they got eyes on the kid and they can see. When I was in sixth grade, this is a personal anecdote. When I was in sixth grade or seventh grade, I think, I was I got brought into the school therapist or school social worker's office, got pulled out of class and sat down at his desk, and he's like, how's everything at home? And I'm like, yeah, fine. Why? He's
Thanks
like,
for the follow,
anybody,
Maxwell 23.
how's thing here at school? Anybody bothering you? Anybody picking on you? I was like, no, I mean, nothing really that I'm worried about or anything. And he said, well, I'm just kind of worried. Where'd you get those bruises on your arms? And I had like bruises on both arms, like up and down here.
I don't know, but he's
and
red. He's a follower.
I was like, oh, I'm playing Pee-wee football. Oh, no. He's like, so nobody's hitting you at home? Nobody's hitting here at school? And I was like, no. Football. That's where I got it from. I'm just, I was a small kid, and that was it. So,
I really appreciate that. Yeah. A very similar thing happened to me. Like, I was just a clumsy kid, and I fucking got cuts and bruises all over the place. And the principal called my parents, and they were like, "Is there anything you want to tell me?" And they're like, "Yeah, my son's clumsy as fuck." And I really appreciate you saying like that schools, like IRL schools, are actually giving lunches to kids. That is very important, and I really appreciate what you were saying there.
And they're making sure that they're handing out medication.
You know what? Even in Arizona, in my daughter's school district, when the school shut down and all the it was brick and mortar, but they were having the kids learn virtually. It was a very short time, but they actually let the parents come and pick up weekly the kids' lunches, like all the stuff that the kids needed for lunch for the entire week. It was pretty rad. It was a really cool program that they put together for that.
Did anyone else get ear and eye tests while they were at school or middle school?
Yeah, I got that.
Oh yeah, that was commonplace.
Checks and
lice checks.
not COVID.
These are important
Chickenpox.
medical services schools provide.
I got
It's
shots.
really hard to do.
All right.
Hepatitis.
I'm gonna say
Hepatitis.
thanks for having me, Prem. I'm gonna see. I gotta go.
Oh, thank you. Have a good one.
That's a good call. Schools give
It was great talking to you, man.
give kids free health care.
Oh yeah, the scoliosis test too, right? Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
Prime,
like
you trying to get rid of free healthcare, Prime?
we needed to
Free
get
healthcare to
fucking
kids get
shots to
from the
go to
vet?
school before. Why not COVID now?
So
Silly.
I wanted to take it to. It's a shame CTV left because I thought might be interested in this part of the conversation. But
Well, I can yell if you want.
so like wondering if parents actually do make the best choices. Like empowering parents.
Let me tell you.
We have examples of them not doing exactly that, and literally threatening administrators, right?
Yeah.
Like, should we be leaving this up to professionals? Rather than
What part?
That was wonderful.
we have you have like for instance like these PTA boards, right? That's another like vector that these things happen, right? Where they put pressure on these schools to do what they want. I mean, theoretically, this could actually be a really good thing, but as we've seen with this pandemic, some people are really, really dumb, and the dumb ones are the loudest.
You can always get away with not doing it by stating that it's a religious thing, and that's what a lot of people in Arizona do.
No,
it's
an
really
interesting
common
topic
here,
because
which is why we've had measles outbreaks here and mumps outbreaks, which haven't been a thing since for freaking ever.
All you American schools had cops, like, and fucking metal detectors in your schools, and that didn't stop anything. So maybe you should just like get rid of all the guns instead. I don't know, just shooting it out there.
You have too many to begin with.
There's just kind of a large jump there.
Measles can kill and sterilize people. People aren't understanding that. Like it can sterilize males. Measles and mumps can sterilize males.
Came, I think for a principal or for a teacher, with like zip ties. We're gonna hog tie them. That's the thing that happens. So they don't need guns. This is not a pro-gun take, right? But I'm just saying that the stupidity isn't held back by not having a weapon. And that's not really the biggest thing. That's been the problem, right? Like them come waving weapons. We haven't seen that. At least I don't think we have.
Okay, but there are people coming to kidnap school board members.
Dude, Coherent Dreams are rad.
But in that school,
you got some great takes.
Are there not like armed guards? Like, am I just
no? That's
ignorant?
not how American schools are.
Okay, all right. As a Canadian, I picture American schools with like, bowling for
My school
Columbine.
called me every
I picture
day
you have armed guards and stuff.
because I was late on Kaya's vaccines.
No? Okay, I'm
Not
just wrong
all of them. Some schools do.
I shouldn't have doxed my
My
daughter. I didn't mean to
a
say her
school may
name.
have one cop in the whole building.
And it's a big country. There's lots of schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in my
Someplace-
country, there's no guns in any school, so it's
Okay, yeah. Sorry, we're getting lost and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go
By the
ahead,
way,
Prime.
No,
guns-
no problem. No problem. Sorry, go ahead. Brento?
Oh, I was saying guns, but yeah.
Yeah, giving parents less choice.
You can go on. You can go on.
Give parents less say. GSU said no.
Yeah, absolutely no.
Why so?
The idea that parents don't know what's best for their kids is laughable, and I don't know where this ideology came from, but it's it's silly.
But we
dude.
but we've actually seen
a guy on the right, like he literally went to Mexico and murdered his children like a week ago because he thought.
Okay, wow, that's
the guy on the right.
Okay.
Yeah, he thought they had snake fucking DNA.
I'm not sure
I heard about that, but it doesn't matter if it's right or left. It just goes to show that a parent is not always equipped to take care of their child properly. But that's something that's systemic all across America. That's not exclusive to like what we do with our schools. And I don't think that necessarily we should take that choice away from the parents. However, what I do think is that if you want to go to a public school, you should have to wear a mask. And if you're of age to be vaxxed, you should have to be vaxxed. Otherwise, you know what? You can go do virtual learning.
But I'm a parent, and I know what's best for my child. And I'm
okay, they can do virtual learning, or they can go to a school with a bunch of unvaxxed kids, and we can do that. We can do it that way. They should section off the schools then.
Best for my child is to go to the same school that I've always gone to, and they should be unmasked. That's our God-given right.
All right, but what if the majority says no? I don't want you.
So they're free to do that, and we'll section off the school, and all the masked kids can go in one way, and all the unmasked kids can go in another. I even thought about proposing that at my.
I guess you're kind of dropping again. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can't. We can hear you. We can all hear you.
Okay. Jason, you're frozen again. You're kind of dropping it.
Can you hear me?
Looks like your internet's going.
Yeah, you're. Got. Well, we'll deal with that later.
Yeah. I guess I'll just give my point. I agree with JC Gambit. I'm not a father, but like this idea that like parents don't know what's best for their kids, but we're going to elect like a council of people and they will be like the wisdom mind that we will all appeal to. It's like no. Parents have autonomy over their children. Like this is authority over their children, but it's like it's a very open question, and your question, I guess, it feels like, should parents have less control of their kids? Go. And it's like, to that question, to that very open question, no, of course not. Like, they should have more.
Specifically in an environment of educators who are trained. So Brento and then H9.
Sure.
Go ahead, Brento.
I mean, they should have a choice what schools their kids go to. They should, have a choice what their kids are being taught. And I think you could probably come up with things where people are like, oh, so if someone teaches them, I think they should have a choice over what their kids are being taught. And so if someone says, well, they're teaching the kids the earth is round and the parents object, like, so they shouldn't be able to teach that the earth is round. It's like, no, they should be able to teach that. It's like, okay, well, if someone teaches the kids something horrible or abhorrent, something insanely racist, then you would be like, oh, they should be able to object to that. To a very open question, no, parents need to have the authority to determine what is best for their children. You don't you don't put that out to a council of people, elected or not.
Wait, I somewhat agree with Gambit
Exactly.
and Bento, but like we to a point, parents do give a lot of control up to from their kids. Family court, the Department of Child Safety, whatever that's called.
Mm-hmm.
We do people do have to meet these requirements to keep their kids, and so some parents do have the right to come in and with especially sex education up to a certain age can say I don't want my kid to be in that class because I went to school. This kid was I think Muslim or Hindu, and his parents were like no, and for a week the boys went to health class and the girls went to PE. For that week he was with the girls for PE. So I'm kind of dope. But that they do have that certain level of control. But I would have to put the line at teaching geology. Like, we have to teach you geology. I have to teach you. This is the map of the world. The north is north. The south is south.
$100 billion.
Geology, like I think he means like evolution and
geography, right?
Yeah, well,
Geography.
I said flat Earth, which is fairly.
Yeah, I was responding to that point.
So
that could even go to
I don't
astronomy
think a
if you
parent.
want.
I don't think a parent should be able to control like that much of a kid's education. Sex education.
Do you think that the people who are teaching their kids that the Earth is flat are also saying that Jews are not in charge of the fucking world?
Right. There's some crossover. There's some crossover, but not everyone's doing that.
It sounds like,
come on,
I'd say those are different issues, like different beliefs, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, you obviously, I mean, you're either that person or you don't know what you're
There's
talking about.
like Jewish,
I don't know. I don't
Christian
know the
scientists that think the Earth is flat.
If you think,
I guess I will just say I didn't know there was.
Jews are fucking in charge of the whole world.
Speaking, I would say I didn't know that there was any crossover.
Here's all the talking over that everybody wanted, and everybody
like,
got booted. I'm so sorry, guys.
Conspiracy theories.
I really don't think it's my internet. I think actually it's Twitch and Discord freezing because it's happening to other people too.
Oh my god.
But let's not. I don't want to go down that. I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah. No, why?
But I'm saying, like,
agree? Wait.
How many people are really believing that in our parents?
Sorry. No, I think we'll all agree with this, right?
A lot of the fucking anyone who fucking homeschools. Prime, cut me off if you need me to. But anyone who homeschools, they're giving the beliefs that there's flat Earth.
Oh my god!
Everyone who homeschools gives. There's plenty of good homeschoolers.
Yeah,
there's plenty of good. There are some shitty ones. I'll give it to you. But
this is so stupid.
Anyone
Why
who
y'all
homeschools?
engaging with this?
Anyone who
engage with
homeschools?
stupid shit
Anyone
like
who
that.
homeschools?
You know, you can't.
Okay.
Hey, so they should just. So here's the deal: if you want the kids to go to the same school that they've been going to, then section off the school for masked kids and unmasked kids. If you don't give a shit if your kid gets COVID, they can go in the unmasked kids section and they can have their own section where they don't sterilize anything and they can live in the filth and they can be in the petri dish. And then the kids whose parents actually give a shit about them, that want vaccinations, that want mask mandates, they can go on the other side of the school and be taken care of and actually get a good education and hopefully don't die. And if those teachers that don't want masks want to be that way, they can go hang out with those kids on the other side of the school. I'm fine with that. I'm good with that.
No, I'm more authoritarian. Everyone should fucking wear a mask, get vaccinated if you can.
I do agree with that, but I mean, if we gotta deal with others that want to be all about their rights and shit, then that's the way you can accomplish it, right?
Is it in the Constitution that parents have a right to be parents?
It doesn't need to be in the Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like saying, do you have a right to oxygen at a certain point? Like, what are you talking? Is that in the Constitution? Like, oh shit, maybe it isn't. Like, yeah,
you have the right to life. You have the right to
abandon
life.
your
That's
Constitution. Your
Constitution.
Constitution's
Well,
the
life is not actually
new one.
I'm writing Pisco. I'm writing Pisco right now.
No, he'll only appeal to law.
Yeah,
No.
the right to life, isn't that within the Declaration of Independence? Like,
No,
right
no,
to life,
but
liberty, and
parenting.
happiness?
Life, liberty,
Yeah,
and
I know.
happiness. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
liberty and pursuit of
Yeah,
happiness
but the
aren't binding
Declaration
in
of
the
Independence
Constitution.
doesn't outline our laws. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's like a rule system for what laws we can and cannot make.
I don't think any of us is smart enough to like really talk about.
I mean, I think we are.
I'm fine.
I'm going to law school, but
yeah, we can
We can talk about it.
I mean, why shouldn't we be dissecting the Constitution? We're American citizens. What are you talking about? We should be
How does
chiefly
the
doing
Constitution
that.
say about raping aliens?
Sorry.
You can say those things about chat, but not about anybody in this room.
You're right.
Yeah,
No, the
yeah, I
Constitution's
don't-
dumb.
Or Brett,
Don't base your argument on the Constitution.
I don't
Base it
subscribe
on
to that.
fucking logic and reality.
You just said everyone was flat earthers who homeschooled.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I just said I'm trying to create the environment where these constitutionalists can be appeased. Not that I agree with them. I absolutely do not agree with them. But if we have to live with them, there's got to be a way to do it, right? So split the schools in half and let the mass kids go on the mass side of the school and the mass kids go on the
Schools
mass
don't
side of
have
the school.
enough money for that.
I don't know. They're going to have to figure it out, though. Federal government needs to go ahead and push some grants down to the school system.
There's gonna be so many sick kids, though.
But it's like, what if
come
they
on,
don't?
man. Why?
I mean,
Why
the
not
federal-
just get vaccinated?
No, I hate the idea. It's a stupid idea, but what do you do?
GSU, I think GSU was trying to say, and if you have anything more on GSU, please add it on. But like GSU is trying to say, this funding isn't coming down, and that the federal government, we all know, especially if you're on the left here, right, that the federal government has been ignoring schools for generations, especially schools filled with certain types of children. So to say that, well, the government should get on this, right?
What,
the government's
unvaccinated
not.
children?
No.
I am so sorry.
Oh my God, shut up for a second,
I'm
please.
so sorry.
Black kids, brown kids, right? And they've been tragically under-resourced. GSU Gambit was talking about schools that he knows are under-resourced, right? But still, I've been trying to make this work out. But even then, so even if you resource them, it depends on how much you resource them. And like, did you resource them to have one set of computers for each individual? If so, well, some of those computers are going to break because kids are kids, just first of all. And then some kids or some families just don't give a shit. So there's that. So like all of that plays. So just saying, well, the government should just pay for it. Well, agreed, right? The left agrees with you, but reality is that they're just not. So to be able to provide all these services, this homeschooling or remote learning services, is quite difficult.
Yeah, that was a kid at my high school specifically because I talked to one of my science teachers more than anybody. They knew the kid was selling the tablets that they were giving to her every time they gave her one, and then they had to stop giving her one, right? Which she wasn't going to learn for the rest of the year.
Well, then do you stop? Do you stop asking for the funding? Do you stop fighting for the funding? I mean, we're talking about like a very defeatist ideology.
We're just saying the five head of just throw more money at it is laughable in a lot of scenarios. That's all.
You have to build it out, though. It's more than that. You have to, like, if it's a school that's struggling more than another school, then it needs a lot more funding, it needs a lot more care, and it needs a lot more protection.
But there are reasons
and that's what they should get
schools
that.
are the way they are. There's a history in our country that places these schools in the situation they are, and there's a history of not helping these schools as well. So the idea of, oh, just go give them more money is silly to a lot of people.
And I understand that, but that's literally the solution. Because you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Those disadvantaged schools do need more resources, and we're not doing right by them, and we haven't done right by them for a very long time. And you're absolutely correct. And yes, now is the time. Now is the time, and we need to push for that.
Do you think there's no one that's advocated that we do more for these schools? You think you're the first one to have that bright idea that, oh, we should do more for the underprivileged schools? You think this is like...
No, but we're acting like it's not a solution. It's not a reality at this point. We have to make that a reality. That's the work that we have to do.
Do you think it's the easiest solution to the problem?
Okay, all right. So what is the easiest? What is the easiest solution?
No, the easiest solution would be to give the school money. I'm going to ask you, why do you think in the history of our country that hasn't happened? So the idea of coming on here saying, yo, just throw more money at it, it's so silly.
It's not silly if you want to fight for it.
If white people can say,
if you're an electoralist, you do this through the electoral process, right?
No, there are black people that can say stupid shit too. It's not about you being white. It's just understand the reality of the situation that a lot of people have said, hey, we should help schools.
As soon as I say I'm white, and then okay, come on.
Yeah,
come
I
on,
don't
man.
care about your race. You can say silly shit.
Then why as soon as I say, like, as a white person, you're like, oh, actually, it's nothing to do with your being white. Come on, man.
Because it's not about you being white. It's about the stupid shit that's coming out of your mouth. Like, all people that homeschool, like, don't believe in Jewish people or some shit. Like, you're saying dumb shit. It's not that you're white. It's the dumb shit that's coming out of your mouth. It's not your race. I'm not a racist. I don't think the dumb shit coming out of your mouth is because you're white. I think you're just saying a whole bunch of dumbass shit. That's why I don't care about whether you're white or not.
H9.
I think Gambit can add, is slightly right.
Join Stella Artois.
Oh, sorry, I was typing to you in chat. Can you go to someone else? I was wanting to finish his thought before I.
Well, I think rather than just sending money at these schools, we need to fix like the money stream and where the schools are getting their money from. So if we can like find a way to disassociate it from property tax, so that disadvantaged communities don't have less, less resources and stuff. I agree that just throwing federal money won't change anything, but if you can actually change where they're getting their money from, and more getting it from like the state and stuff, I think that could work out pretty well, especially accompanied with something like school choice.
Yeah, you don't just fund a really expensive school in the middle of a very poor, troubled community. You have to uplift the community first before, like an uplifted community that is self-sustainable. No matter what school you put in there, it's going to be successful. Come on, it's not. I feel like you're attacking me.
You don't think that if these schools, which have barely any funding because of the low property taxes in their area, you don't think that has anything to do with like the low outcomes?
No.
But school choice would kill those schools. School choice would kill those schools.
You can't just put you can't just put like a really fancy school in a poor, like underprivileged neighborhood and expect that the neighborhood becomes better.
I'm not talking about like super fancy ass schools.
No, I
mean,
know.
Schools that have like such complete underfunding. Yeah, I know, but like I just want to clarify. Like, yeah, sure. I mean,
I'm saying you have to do both at the same time, and like you can't just like throw money at a thing. I mean, I look at Afghanistan. They threw money at the fucking Afghan army, and Afghan army was ineffective, like completely ineffective. So like, well, why do you think that you can just throw money at any given poor neighborhood and then their schools are going to be great? It's not going to happen.
Well, I don't think that.
It need to be
That's also not what I'm implying. I'm implying a flood of resources, not just money, like resources too, like a complete uplift of the school, not just simply like saying, hey, we're going to throw a bunch of money, because probably part of the problem is there's some corrupt administrators somewhere along the way too, which is why money isn't getting to those students and to the school. So no, I think resources have to be a part of it too. You have to do a lot. It's not one thing, but I think at least being able to pass a bill through Congress that allocates funds to be able to do things like this through the Department of Education wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Well, if I might add, the schools that are called Title I schools, they're used generally in low poverty or low income areas of cities, and so they do receive money already, but it's definitely needs to be increased. And when we're talking about like, well, throwing money, I mean, there are some schools in the bigger, in some cities that, their heating doesn't work, or they've got ceilings falling apart, or they have
air conditioning.
Yeah,
summer.
Yeah. So there's a
lot
of
100 degrees in the summer with no air conditioning. You can't be in a school and teaching.
Go ahead.
Well, a lot of the schools are some of the schools, I shouldn't say a lot, some schools are having difficulty with maintenance and trying to, keep the things running. I mean, just, even just something as like current textbooks or textbooks that aren't falling apart, or like, a computer lab
from Texas.
Pardon?
Textbooks that are not from Texas.
Oh. But, I don't think that's unreasonable to ask the federal government to start sending more money to these schools, so that whether or not I go to a wealthy suburb versus some other area of the city that doesn't have the best property tax rates, has really low, that it shouldn't matter that if I go to one or the other school, they should be at least equivalent. There should be some, and in the money, the federal money should be distributed in some form of some type of equity throughout the rest of the community in the country, so that
So
we
what we're
can make
talking about is school choice. School choice is bad.
Nope.
No,
I'm
it's
just,
not.
I'm just
Can you
talking
give a
about
source for
making
that?
sure that schools, public schools, are sufficiently funded, more so than they are now.
So we're about to have
Do you guys know what school choice is, though?
Giving
Like-
each student the same amount of money, regardless of their socioeconomic status, to go to that school. I completely agree.
No,
Yeah, but that's not
that
what
could be
school choice
horrible.
is.
Private schools are so bad. Oh no, no charter schools. You know what they
schools
do? They set up shop.
charter schools.
They rezone districts, and then after they've been there for like they rezone property areas,
Okay, well-
and then after they've been there for 2 or 3 years, they shut the school down. The same investors go and set up high density apartment complexes.
Well, the worst one is
It's a scheme they run.
schools. That is the worst.
Charter schools can be set up in a way that is not bad. Like
When
I don't.
I s-
There's
Well,
so
here-
many different ways of setting up charter schools.
You can use a flamethrower in a way that doesn't destroy stuff, but when you figure out how to do that, you let me know. Charter schools are essentially like bad for the communities they exist in, apropos
Yeah.
of the fact that they are charter schools.
They
If you-
siphon off taxes.
JJ,
Nope, not
you
true.
find a way to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
hold on.
You go ahead, Dr. K.
The public schools,
you're
if you
better
have
than
a student go from a public school to a charter school, the public school still gets 30% of that kid's the money that kid was, or the money that was going to be delegated to the school. So they're only losing 70% of their the money from the kid.
Hey man, if I cut out 70% of your paycheck, how would you get by?
No. Only 70%, and they don't have to provide for that customer, right? So that's like saying, if I sell you corn, except you don't get the corn, and I get 30% of the money anyway.
If I took 70% of your paycheck, regardless if I paid
don't
your
have to
electric
work.
bill, that would make your
No,
life
no,
real
the
fucking hard.
equivalent is you get 70% of my paycheck, and I don't have to work. That would be the equivalent, and I would take that deal any day of the week.
No, that's not how schools.
Wait.
That is not how any of that works.
No one would take
It works
that
in
deal.
my state.
Because
No one would.
just removing a student from a system, doesn't actually, like, it does not alleviate the equivalent amount of labor from that institution. Like that is not a fair trade by any means. And
I'm not saying it
we're
does
not
100%.
we're not even breaking the grounds of the fact that charter schools are very particular about which students they pick, which ones they don't, and how
Not
they do
necessarily
it,
true.
which
You can-
creates a sort of educational apartheid-like system.
I don't know how it is where you are, but where I am, charter schools are open to the public. Anyone.
Did
can
anyone go to a charter school?
I went to a charter school.
Anyone can go to
I
a
went to
charter
a
school in
charter
Arizona, but they're not
Like,
regulated. They're
why
not
would that be a
held
good
to the
thing?
same account as like as what other schools are held to. The public schools are held to, and I've seen the results of that. I've seen the lower quality of education actually come out
the very
of the charter
basic
schools.
problem with charter schools is the fact that they get funding from states, but they do not have to follow the regulations of states oftentimes, or very minimal
Sometimes-
regulations compared to public schools. And this creates a competition under which essentially charter schools have an upper hand, competitively speaking, because they can flaunt like basic, like important rules that public schools have to follow.
Like,
for example, the ability to deny or expel students, right? Again, I've told you about this. Charter schools do this thing where they will purposefully look for the students who test well and essentially like try to incentivize that student to go to their school, essentially trying to do a brain drain on the public school system that they're next to.
One school system or school company like that is called Basics. Look them up. They are in several states.
basics or
Two-
basis?
They
Basis,
don't have to
sorry.
follow the
Yeah,
same.
basis is great. What?
They don't have to follow the same.
Look at their
union or
special
labor
education
standards
program.
that
Do they have
teachers
any?
do.
Do they have any special education program at Basis?
Not
Any.
every school has to be a special education school.
That, and you know what? They get rated as
Yes,
a better
actually, they
school,
do
but
need that
they are
at
not a
every
better school because they don't provide for that. That's part of the problem. That's what makes a good school, and they're artificially inflating their importance in education by excluding certain things and certain students so that they can keep their testing high. That's not okay.
Do you know why
Doesn't
Basis
make you a
is
better
rated high?
school.
You know why basis is rated high? Because they teach their kids extremely advanced subjects. And in a world that basically blows away their preparation for high school and college. That's why they're considered such a top tier school.
They also don't educate special education students. They also don't educate English as a second language students. They are not a good educational institution. They're a good educational institution for people who had a jump start in life and were able to get ahead a little bit, and they could take advantage of the charter school voucher system.
You don't pay to go
Are
to
they a
basis.
public school or private school?
Well, they're
a charter school, and they use the voucher system. I know because it's in Arizona, and we use the voucher system here.
I know because I fucking went to basis.
They should be a private school. They should be a private school if that's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Why should they be a private school? People like me never would have been able to afford
Wait,
them.
to deny that many people on those facts, that's
what do you mean? They can deny anyone.
Wait.
Yes, it's true they don't have a special education or English as a second language, but other than that,
Jason,
anybody can go.
That's a denial by omission.
How is that a denial by
What
omission?
did you just list out? Like 9 different things that the school denied on, like second English education. And other things.
Yeah, English is a second language, and they don't have any special education program whatsoever. They actually do try to pick and choose their students based off testing. They absolutely do
Why
that.
shouldn't special ed kids have their own schools?
I went to a
This doesn't qualify them as a high-level educating school, and they're artificially pumping up their numbers.
Wait, I'm not saying that I agree with them.
Not to mention charter again, schools get their funding by number of
Gambit.
So so first off, there's a charter school that moved into my home county, and it caused very big problems. So I'm not a charter school fan before I say this.
Mute yourself. Sorry, CMA Critter. I need you to mute yourself right now because we're getting feedback.
Based.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Gambit, please.
Cool. Yeah. So I was saying first to start off, a charter school moved into my home county, and it caused like really big financial problems for my school. So I'm not a charter school fan before I say this, but I think what problematic is getting at is he's saying that they don't deny people, they just don't accommodate certain conditions such that those people probably wouldn't choose to go to those schools, such as special education or second English students, blah blah blah. Now I will say, when I was in school, I could have learned far more before I went to college, but I was always beholden to what the entire class could learn. So there should be maybe something in society for people that are advanced enough to do more things, because it's like, why hold back children that are more advanced?
But what school doesn't have advanced placement? We have advanced placement in our school.
No. Every school doesn't have advanced placement. For my school didn't. I didn't know AP class. I had the highest GPA.
There are ways to skip
almost
grades
get a
if you are
perfect score on
that
the SAT.
intelligent.
Like, no.
Skipping grades is really bad for you socially.
Yeah, I didn't skip
I say
grades.
that as someone who skipped a grade. It is absolutely horrible. I did not fit in until like midway through high school because I was a 13-year-old as a freshman, and it was fucking horrible.
I could have skipped 2 grades, and my mom decided not to, and it was probably one of the best decisions that she made. But no, every school doesn't have AP at all. Like, that's just not true. Every school doesn't have the little situation where you
I
can
wonder
go to
if we
college
could
as
fund
a
them
junior.
better so they could do that.
Wait, we kind of discussed this.
Oh, we're not allowed to talk about funding schools. How dare we talk about funding schools?
No, not like it's a bad thing. No, I'm totally for funding schools. Like, but we would have if we could have. Like,
yeah.
Why aren't we? Why? Let's stop this in the last 30 years.
Yeah, it's not. It's just that it's not practical. That's why it gets annoying to a lot of people.
What do you mean it's not practical?
Hey guys, come on, dude.
Well,
I want you all to love each other. Switch the subject if you all are going to be like that. Let's just get into a good space.
Now. And there's been a lot of people that say, "Hey, we should fund disenfranchised schools more," and we're still where we are. So I'm all for saying, "Hey, yeah, we should fund schools more," but that's not like the end of a conversation. It's not like even a real part of a conversation. Like, of course, 5-head, right? Oh, there's people that's hungry. We should give them more money, right? Duh. Like, but that's not like a revelation. Like,
of course not.
But that's the answer. Like, it's I'm sorry that the answer is staring us right in the face, you know. But like, that is the answer. I mean, Then what else are we going to do? How much are we going to reallocate resources? How much are we going to keep asking teachers to pay for supplies for their students? How much are we going to keep asking students' parents to send shit into schools? Like at some point, that's where it's at. And I don't care if you're on the left or the right. Everybody's got to agree we need to do a better job with this, and we have to do it now. It has to happen now. And you know what? We do have an opportunity. We can vote for people who are willing to do it. We can vote for policies that's willing to do it. We can push on our local level and our national level, and that's exactly what we should be doing if that's what we care about.
Wait. So hold on, wait. Hey, Jason.
Okay, pause right there. So
Simply do.
Whoa. Pause right there, everyone. I'm gonna let Brenta. I'm guessing Brenta's heading out. I'm gonna give him a spot, and then we'll go to Gambit and then CMA Gruder. All right. Before you leave, Brento, we were considering doing a 1v1. Would you like to do a 1v1 with you and Captain A. Jones on cryptocurrency?
Not really.
That could
actually.
be spicy.
I liked arguing with him, but I mean, we talked about it. He's kind of just like, just scam. And I'm like, I don't think it's a scam. And he's like, but it's a scam. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's not gonna be. We're not getting it.
I didn't know
It's a
Captain A.
scam.
Jones was based.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. But
I'm just gonna say sorry. He had arguments, but I mean, I just don't feel like he and I are gonna get to a good one-on-one on it. But it's okay.
You do your 30-second elevator pitch
For cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
No.
What's your 30-second?
We'll do it later.
Okay,
Sorry,
never mind.
Yeah, no problem. It's just gonna toss us off. But we'd love to maybe have some sort of debate with you, because I know you're passionate about this subject. I would love to have, if we could have a debate with you.
Buy a permit for concealed carry. Why shouldn't you
if I
just
do,
be able to carry a
I'll do
gun?
with Captain A. Jones. I'll
in whatever way you want.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, Prime.
Take it easy.
I would just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody and on this panel. I'm going to have to bow out as well, but I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed hearing what everybody had to say. So thanks again.
Okay.
It's great having
Thank you so much. Yeah, please come back. We'd love to have
good
you.
to meet you, man.
Definitely. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
No problem. So Gambit and then CMA Gruder. Gambit.
Shoot.
You were
I was
saying
about
something to leader?
I was about to ask
for
Jason.
concealed
Not
carry.
leader.
Oh yeah,
Why
Jason,
shouldn't you just
yeah,
be able to carry a
yeah,
gun?
So I
in whatever
agree
way
with you.
you
The
want.
problem is a lot of people on the left have this ridiculous concept that we call electability, and that forces them to not vote for candidates who will advocate for the things that we would like, right? Like Andrew Yang was like, yo, let's give people UBI. That gives every American $1,000 to spend it how they want. And people are like, oh, that's not electable, so we're going to vote for Joe Biden because he's the safe candidate because we're afraid of Trump,
That's
right?
not the left.
Yeah, that's technocrats, because the left was, I mean, I think pretty squarely in the pocket of Bernie, if anything.
Well, Gambit's
You-
like,
you
if it's
got-
bad
I mean-
thing, it's left. Like,
Wait,
don't
You
worry
gotta
about
be
it.
careful of
Wait,
UBIs. They want to like
Joe
replace
Biden?
it with.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Joe
UBI is
Biden
a
didn't
bad
run
policy.
under the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, not the left. If that's the argument y'all about to make, I'll
No,
just
they're
bow
a big
out.
tent party that encompasses everything from very moderate right to far left.
Wait. So we're saying the Democratic Party is not left.
No.
Not explicitly
Okay.
so.
No. Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Agreed.
Gambit. I think you know what they're trying to say, right? Okay.
No, I don't.
All right. Well,
I don't think it makes sense.
Then
He's a
I will
fucking
lose.
idiot,
Shut up.
that's why.
I'll do it.
Wow.
Because we don't have to spend the whole thing on this. But the Democratic Party is more than just one thing. Like it encompasses a lot of interests, right? More so than the Republican Party, right?
Sure.
So, and these interests cover leftists like me, right? Who this is our best vehicle, but also and more likely liberals, right? And people who would if you look at them in isolation would be center right individuals, right? All of them can find a home within the Democratic Party. So they push back on you saying it's the Democratic Party is quote unquote left. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal.
Liberals are center, right?
No. I didn't say that. Though
On the world stage, they are.
When you're terminally online, they are.
Irregardless.
Oh my God. Thanks. Great. So some of the individuals who would count as liberal, right, might be able to be said as center right in terms of their in terms of their alignments, right? So, but it's not a big deal, not a big deal, right?
Can I ask you
It's
one
just
small
that-
thing?
Oh boy, yeah.
Okay. No. People call me a liberal, right? I advocate for UBI. I advocate for free education. I advocate for public option of some sort, right? Would you consider that center right?
No,
I just don't understand this. I don't understand this window.
That's why I said. That's why I didn't blanket all liberals or center right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just. You are center left. Someone like Cinema or Mansion is center right. That's
Right.
essentially
right.
Yeah, that would sum it up.
You could.
By the way, fuck Kirsten Cinema from Arizona.
It's not left. Yeah, fuck Kirsten Cinema and Joe Manchin. You would agree that they're not left, right?
Pretty
Joe
damn far
Manchin,
from left.
Gambit.
I'll go look up all of their policy positions. I'll let you know next time I go.
She used to be Green Party, which is funny,
If he's
and now
unfamiliar with them,
she's
that's fine.
center
Wait a
right.
minute, If he's unfamiliar with them, then that's fine, right?
I'm completely unfamiliar with West Virginia.
He'll do his research and he'll get back to us. GSU is an honest actor on this stuff. So, all right. So let's let in CMA Gruder. I will let him next, and then if Lita wants to jump in after, I will have them. But CMA Gruder, please. You're muted. You're still muted, buddy. CMA?
I teach for Basis, and we both have special education programs, and we have English as a second language programs. All of my students speak English as a second language, where I teach at now. And in the United States, the charter programs have a bit less funding for that stuff, but they've moved into offering availability of all of those things. And yeah, people judge us for our actions in dismissing and removing students, but essentially we do not bar anyone from attending Basis. More than that, funding model wise, I taught in the public schools for quite a long time before I taught here. And people like to think of public schools as a great leftist utopia. They're anything but. We're in the sway of big testing companies. We're in the sway of state politicians restricting the ability for teachers to have academic freedom to teach what they want to teach.
Oh, this is a talking point, man.
Oh, but Basis isn't influenced by their investors. Are you kidding me? You guys get paid by your investors. What state are you in? I'm in Arizona, and I can tell you 100 we don't have that here.
Everyone shut up. Everyone shut up. I will mute you if you need me to do that. CMA Gruder has been waiting very patiently to talk, so we will allow him the space to talk. CMA Gruder, please.
Yeah, it's not a talking point. In the state of Virginia, essentially everybody works for standards of learning tests, and those standards of learning tests are tied into frequent political restrictions of what we teach. And we're supposed to not be including politics in our instruction, but as we see now with Loudon, conservatives,
right. Charters are apolitical.
Conservatives frequently have a great ability to sway state curriculums. And the state of Virginia, I mean, talking online, you have people like Joe who are in comfortable union states, but in the state of Virginia, you can be fired instantly for teaching outside of the careful boxes and strictures. There's all sorts of legacy programs that eat funding. There's technology that's misapplied and badly handled. And there's a ridiculous amount of administrators per student. Teaching.
Sounds like you need more funding.
Don't worry, I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna help you out, Dr. K. All right, no problem. All right, so
teaching in charter and independent schools offers a tremendous amount of freedom. I teach a massive program to kids who are very motivated and enjoy a tremendous amount of success. I just wanted to talk in response to some of these distortions, and other than that, the rest of y'all can go at it. Thanks, Prime.
Sure, no problem. So does anyone want to respond?
That's absolutely not factual in the state of Arizona, and this proves my point in that there is no regulation for these charter schools, so they will take advantage at every point they can, right? Maybe your state doesn't have that shit going on, but that's happening here, and the charter school is completely taking advantage of the fact that they don't have to have a special education program. They completely take advantage of the fact that they're going to get a bunch of money from the state. They completely take advantage of the fact that they can pump up their numbers by not servicing ESL students. Now, maybe that's the way it is in Virginia, but it's not the way it is in Arizona. And that's the problem, because there is no standard of learning for these institutions, and they can change and fluctuate based off what the profit motive is.
Well, don't you think that that's not something inherent to the charter system? You could just say, yeah, charter schools also have to have ESL and classes for like learning disabilities. Like, I feel like that's not an institutional problem with the model, the charter school model.
All public schools have to have it.
Okay, well that doesn't change.
It
at all
has
what
to
I
be
said.
built in, and
Sure.
if the charter schools in a certain state don't have to have it, the charter schools in every state should have to have it.
Well,
okay,
sure, that's
a lack of regulation
is what
in
I'm
the
saying.
sector.
You could have it so that charter schools in every state have to have ESL without changing the fundamental charter school setup.
And I think some states do have it where you do have to like make it available, like the special education. You can't just refuse people for some like weird reason or like not lacking the proper pre-education. Like,
well,
I think
you can't do that in any charter school. I don't know what he's talking about. Like if he's in Arizona, I'm in Arizona. Charter schools here have to accept you regardless of like your.
No, they don't.
I'm in Illinois. I went to a charter school.
Basis, I know they don't here for sure because I've dealt with them on it.
Wait, that could be possibly in Arizona.
Sorry, let's go to H9 and then Dr. K. Okay.
That could be possibly in Arizona. So I think
it's not. I live in Arizona.
H9.
I think it's just a lack of regulation. I think charter schools could be great. I think they're just another form of a school structured in a slightly different way. Dr. K.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read a quote here from the Civil Rights Project that was conducted by the University of California, UCLA, on charter schools, and this is a quote from from the study that says, take for example the application process for a new charter school. A parent or student must first hear about the charter program, which is dependent on the extent to which the new school has conducted outreach and advertising, whether materials were available in multiple languages, and or if an encounter with another parent or contact provided information about the charter. The family must then navigate the application process, which often involves a lottery, but also can mean a combination of other requirements like testing, teacher recommendations, parental involvement commitment, or essays. If the student is accepted, then transportation to and from the school may have to be provided by the parent. Unlike for public schools, which A, have to accept everyone, and B, have to provide some sort of transportation option to students. Like, how can you say this isn't discriminatory? And that they can funnel state funds to all this. And that they don't have to, like, adhere to the same rules as everyone else. Whether that be rules when it comes to unions or rules when it comes to curriculum. There are charter schools that have been set up for the express purpose of not teaching certain things.
I don't know. My stepson's PE teacher at his charter school had 3 DUIs and didn't even have his teaching certificate because it got revoked. But the charter school was able to keep him there. That was Imagine. There's another one. Imagine.
Gentlemen, I was not done talking. I will continue, H9. Thank you. For example, in Oklahoma, there was a case where a charter school was set up for the explicit purpose of not having to teach evolution. Like, how can you say that this stuff? How can you say that these? And they can still receive state funds. Like,
this seems like a shitty state policy that it allows that to happen.
Yeah, this is the 0.01% of charter schools.
No, it's fucking not. It's actually pretty in the norm. The fact too
they don't teach pollution in most charter schools.
You have a business model that has shareholders and a fiduciary responsibility. Being allowed to draw from the same pool as my tax dollars is absolute fucking absurd that you people
they teach kids
stand
too.
by and allow this.
Yeah, they teach kids too.
Yeah, for fucking profit.
Okay.
Not for the betterment of anyone but themselves. It's
Yeah,
insane.
and results in
the
good
only,
education.
Which means results may vary.
Exactly.
Dr.
The
K,
only wait, gentlemen, thank you. The only situation in which I can even vaguely get behind this, one, they should be privately run and not drawing from public funds, and two, it is when they are for the specific purpose of appealing to a population that not even regular schools are able to cater to, as in people with disabilities. For example, like my own high school was an example of this, and it worked. But guess what? It wasn't drawing from public funds. My mouth is so dry.
Have you thought about maybe public schools also can't cater to the most advanced of students? Have you thought about that?
My cock was too huge to go to my... Listen. The fact is, right?
What was that?
If you are so... Yeah, if you are so...
You thought that was a proper rebuttal? You're that silly?
You dumb fuck, I'm getting to it. Anyways, if you are so smart as to not be able to go to a normal school, yes, guess what? There are private schools for that option. Private schools love to take smart asses who know way too much.
Yeah, they even get scholarships to go to those private schools. So let's not pretend that they can't get into them.
I've got a question for Dr. K. So earlier on in the show, you brought up that a lot of you said that essentially that this was only represented, like you said that this represented the majority of charter schools, and I think it was Pam that said that it didn't really. It was like the 0.1% that was sort of like
I'm talking about
teaching
profiteering,
things,
not about.
Yeah, but specifically in relation to like not teaching things like evolution and stuff.
No, that is not the majority of charter schools. I'm talking specifically about being profiteering institutions who have an incentive to essentially act not in the student's interest, but in their own.
It's all a property game. It's a zoning game. It's a zoning game. I'm telling you, Gilbert went through this. They even did a whole report on it in the city council, town council, where they talked about how charter schools were using land. They were putting land there so they could rezone them, because if they stayed there for 2 years, then they could turn it into high density housing. And they did it over and over again. They did it. There's proof of it. So this isn't something that only happens once in a while. This is the profiteering of charter school systems.
So there's a lot of shitty zoning laws that make it so you can't build affordable housing. I don't see how that has anything to do with the school system.
No, what they're doing is profiteering off poor people and people in the school system.
You're saying they as if it's all of these schools.
The schools.
So just like say,
it's not all of them, but there's a large portion of them that do that. Yes, absolutely.
Also, the vast majority of charter schools are nonprofit, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. So yes, there are a lot of schools that are, I mean, not that I would have anything against the ones that are nonprofits, but to claim that they're just these profiteering hacks, like they're mostly nonprofit.
Well, so another interesting example of why people set up charter schools, right, is you see a lot in these very ideological right-wing communities, right? This whole push about how the public education system is run by communists and whatever, and you're essentially fucking up our students, whatever, shit like that. Well, keep in mind that these people don't exist in a bubble, right? They exist with, people who work in businesses with politicians and stuff surrounding them, yes? And so you get enough of these people being like, I don't want my kid in the public schools, it's teaching X and Y or doing X or Y thing that I don't support, right? You get like an institutional like reaction to that, which is setting up your own institutions outside of the existing ones.
I do want to hear from Sime Gruder. Then H9 after that.
Yeah, like you've got this whole profit motive thing that you're bothered by. And we're in a world of Common Core testing. We're in a world of No Child Left Behind. We're in a world of all of these companies that are profiting off public schools failing. They have done their best to destroy
including your company.
Yeah, no, like my company. I'm a private tutor.
I get their work to make sure public schools fail.
What?
Actually, public
schools. He's talking to me.
Let him talk. I want to hear what he says. I'm really curious.
Essentially,
you got to let him talk.
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Essentially, public schools right now are victims of a testing company-based funding model, where these testing companies would send in private consultants, where they work to remove tenure, where they work to fight against certainly attempts at unionization, and certainly damaged academic freedom far more than in a place like PACES.
You
And
guys
if
are an extension of
zoning- zoning occurred,
I'm so glad I'm
I would
fucking
argue
muted
that
right
it
now.
didn't
Bullshit.
work against the students who frequently have
It was the charter
radically
schools that
better
were
results
fighting
than if they
unionization
would
in
have stuck in the
Arizona. It was
existing
the
public
charter schools that
schools.
were
And
fighting
at
the
this
Arizona
point,
teachers
maybe
unions here.
Bullshit.
Oh, you gotta.
They were playing scabs, dude.
Are you done, CNA?
That's all I had there.
Okay. H9, you wanted to say something too?
Yeah, just a little bit. I linked this is doxing slightly myself. I linked a charter school in chat. It's a pretty good charter school. I don't think it's doing this racist stuff that Dr. K is talking about, teaching religion or crazy stuff. It's just a normal school in a normal neighborhood next to a high school that does K through 8. So once you're done with 8, you can go to high school in the same neighborhood you did. And then
Yeah, what a disingenuous prick. He's profiteering off of it. He's probably got a
But
handsome
how
fucking
come? How would you
401k
know?
investment in his stupid
saying-
fucking
This is the
school.
school I went
Fuck
to.
this
I went to
motherfucker.
So
for my
okay,
entire
whatever.
life.
Sure.
I know it's
okay.
anecdote. It's a small anecdote out of it.
No, but I mean, like, just because I went to a school doesn't mean I understand the policies of that school, right? Like, I'm saying, like, do you understand, like, and I'm not saying you're even wrong. I'm just saying that, like,
it's a school that's better than this district. People like there's a lottery system to get in. People sign up for the lottery system.
You know
They
what?
want to get
I had three stepsons go to a charter school, right? Imagine charter school. Imagine all three of
And
them
there's
went.
private schools
They
in the
were all
district that are
considered top
Catholic,
of their
but I
class,
don't know if
right?
there's any
Third
non-religious
grade.
private schools in there.
Two were
So
in
this
third
is
grade.
like
One
one
was
of the
in
better
fifth.
Non-private
When
schools
they
that
went to
you can
Gilbert
get into.
Public Schools,
that
they
you-
put
that
them
any
all
parent
back
can
a
get
grade
into,
because
and
they
I
had
think,
not
they're
gotten
very small
any of the education they needed to be on that
Extremely
grade level. That's how fucking bad it was.
Anyone else?
Yes, charter schools again do not actually have to accept all students. Reminder: charter schools do not have to accept all students.
They're also not held to the same regulations as public schools, which is why some kids will go to a charter school and then go to a really good public school the next year, and guess what? They get told, we're holding you back because your charter school freaking sucked.
We crushed.
Yeah, that literally always happens.
And yeah, so like
It does
public
happen.
school.
It happened with Imagine and the Gilbert School District, Gilbert, Arizona School District. So you know where exactly it happened.
But I guess to GSU's point, right, and that public schools also fail all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like we know this.
Yes.
That public schools don't have those necessary resources.
They're
So
failed
as a-
because they're
they have
bled
more
or funded
resources
by
than
charter
charter schools.
schools.
Isn't
But-
it true that
Well,
the
that's
average
that
kid graduating has like a
that's a reductionism.
Yeah.
what's the average reading level of a kid from a public school that's graduating? It's
I
like
mean, the
something low, right?
problems of public schools like supersede, like how long private schools have been here, or sorry, charter schools have been around, right?
The whole bleeding of funding, that's got to be like an enormously like uninformed take or something.
It's not uninformed. It's an accurate take. I've watched it happen in Arizona. We are big on that. We have
Okay, so
bled
it's
funding
happening
from
in one
public
place.
schools.
You can't-
It happens
you
all
can-
over
you
the
can
place.
base
This is
it
a
on
common
one
place. It happened in
place,
New
but you
Jersey.
can't
It
paint
happened
the
in California
entire
as well.
picture with
Go ahead
one
and do the
brush,
studies. Look
right?
at it.
Yes. Jason is just wrong about Arizona. Like, I mean, he's right about California or New Jersey, but I don't know how the charter
If
school.
we talk about public schools in general, the reason why that they're underfunded is not because of one thing that's happening in one state.
I don't think anybody made that.
It's a culmination of things. That's just one part of it, and that's what we're talking about. Charter schools, right?
Which are funded less per pupil than public schools by quite a bit.
They shouldn't be funded at all because they're for profit.
I mean, does anyone have any like statistics on on kids graduating these charter schools versus kids that are not?
They exist.
Yeah, they exist. I'll have to look it up. But the problem with comparing these statistics is that each state has different charter school laws, so it's really hard to fucking compare.
And again, that charters
My
purposefully
point.
snipe out high-performing students.
Do charter schools have different like, so you said that they differ across states. I mean, like, does the funding vastly different across different state lines in the United States?
It's usually by how wealthy your community is. If you have a wealthy community, you have very well-funded schools. If you live in fucking Compton, or if you live in a poor neighborhood, your school funding sucks.
It's a terrible way to do a school system.
Yeah, it fucking is, man.
That's public.
Amen to that, brother.
I think
Nobody's
that's
disagreeing
probably
with
a bigger
that.
problem. I think that's probably a bigger problem than
Yes.
charter schools.
Here, buddy, I can walk and chew
It's a
bubblegum. I can
combination of
hate both
both.
of those fucking things.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. K. Thank you, Dr. K.
I think so. I just find the conversation a little bit hard to follow.
Again, if you want to run a school, that doesn't have to follow
levels of funding, and you need to be a little bit more specific with what you're talking about.
Yeah,
if you
that's
want
my
to have-
main issue is that there's
Otherwise-
like it seems like a very unspecific, like what you're saying, leader. Yeah, it just seems very like broad and not very like focused. The topic itself, I don't know.
If you want to have a school that doesn't have to follow public regulations, you can do that. Make a private school, but keep your fucking hands out of my tax dollars if you're not following the fucking state regulations. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
But we were
Based.
talking about this before, and you said that that there was only a tiny minority of charter schools that didn't teach things like evolution. Like,
Well, that's not the only regulation that exists, though. There's hundreds of regulations.
Well, they do follow the regulation. They just follow the regulation for charter schools, right?
Based.
No, they have. They
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
even
they
have
still
to
are
do standardized testing in a lot of these
Yes,
charter
they do.
schools.
They do. They definitely
Maybe
do have to
in
do
your
standardized testing.
school, in your anecdotal situation, in a lot of them, they do not, and that's part of the
Not using
problem.
anecdotes here. Can we? Is there anybody who's not using anecdotal situations right now?
I'm just
using
saying
basic
that there's
common
other situations outside of his own lived experience where that's not the case.
You know what?
You're
Jason
right.
Gambit. Sure. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, wait, Jason. Are charter schools illegal? No, they're following whatever state legislation for charter schools.
Which
So
is
you're
do
right.
whatever you want, educate however you want, and we're just gonna throw money at you.
He's okay. So he's saying that I think what he's trying to say, Gambit, is that charter schools have unfair advantage because the regulations that they follow are not equivalent to the ones that public schools have to follow, right? Meaning that they can skirt some things that might give them an advantage to the metrics that people use to judge these things.
But if it's not hurting the students'
And determine funding. It is though. It's hurting public school funding.
Can I see an example of some of these?
Wait, if they're putting out students that are achieving or something and parents like them such that they're continually to send their kids there, then why is it such a bad
Because
thing?
if they're drawing from tax dollars, guess what? It's
Those
not
kids,
just
they're
affecting.
paying tax dollars. Those kids' parents are.
Yeah.
Just like you
Yes, their parents are paying tax dollars, but guess what? That is not the only place from which they draw funding from, right? Keep in mind, if a charter school comes up in the same sort of vicinity as a public school, now they are drawing from the same tax pool.
Yes,
that
they are.
splits
I told
the
you,
funding.
this
But because charter
crack
schools,
top 150 schools in the U.S.
what's that?
Before basis, Arizona didn't crack the top 150 high schools in the U.S.
Okay, I
After
don't care.
basis
That's not what I'm
was
talking about.
Okay,
but we shouldn't care about outcomes.
They still get 30%. The public schools still get 30% of the funding per pupil of students who go to charter schools. So, like, it's this massive drain when they are getting paid for doing no work.
Yeah, if there's 1,400 students going to your charter school, yes, that actually drains a lot of fucking funding from the school district.
I mean, yeah, it drains some and it lessens the
70
load.
If you use
The
70%
public trust
of your
should not be paying for private schools, and these are private schools.
Yes, they follow the rules of private schools.
They're not private schools in
Can
any
you give us an
form.
example? Dr. K, can you give us a specific example in a specific state of differences in between like what public schools have to teach and what charter schools have to teach? Because I'm on board. I'm on board with different. I don't like the idea of two schools, separate but equal. One has to one can teach whatever it wants, the other can't, and they both funded by the taxpayer dollars. I don't like this in principle, but could you give us an example of this, like of something, of essentially like charter schools, where these differences lie?
Essentially, charter schools, when it comes to rules, right? Gambit wants to know is they essentially follow the same rules as private schools do, oftentimes, right?
So here.
Hey, no.
That's I'm after something a little bit more specific.
Yeah, Dr. K is talking. Let's Dr. K finish.
Well, Jason, what's up?
So in Arizona, I'm reading. This is from Arizona Central, AZ Central Charter School 101. What is a charter school? Charter schools are typically privately managed, taxpayer-funded schools exempted from some rules and laws applicable to traditional public schools. Those would include procurement or purchasing of goods and services. Unlike district schools, charters are allowed to hire non-certified. This is the problem. They're allowed to hire non-certified teachers and principals, people that do not have teaching certificates. Schools also, in many instances, are run by business owners who have no educational experience. Experience. This is what the problem is.
Yeah. So
public schools have the same problem.
No, they fucking don't, you idiot! You're talking out your ass.
Can you let him finish this point?
Well, he's not.
No,
he's fucking.
Okay, whether somebody is making their point doesn't give you the right to interrupt them whenever you feel like it.
Untrue information.
Oh my God! Shut up! Okay. So we're gonna go to Gambit. Everyone shut up. We're gonna go to Gambit, then we're gonna go to C-May Gruder. Okay? Don't interrupt. If you interrupt, I don't care what the fuck the reason you're interrupting. I'm going to mute you. All right? Is that simple? I don't care why you're interrupting. Don't do it. Gambit.
Yeah, so y'all should be aware that there are people on Twitch who just say a whole bunch of dumb shit, so they don't want other people to talk. But anyway, I went to a public school. There's 4 people. There's 2 people I have right now who are my very close friends who aren't done with their certificate programs. But because our school doesn't have a lot of people in our community, they're hired and they teach currently at school. This is not atypical in impoverished communities. So maybe if you're living in some places in California, that there's always a plethora of teachers available such that you always have certified teachers. But in certain communities, this is just not true.
JC, hold on. What you're talking about, the way you're describing this, doesn't seem. I'm not sure that's exactly what they're talking about. Okay, so saying that. Let me try to.
Dr. K said I'm spreading misinformation. Wait. Dr. K said public schools do not have certified teachers. I'm saying that that's not true.
I know. Please let me. Yeah. So what I believe, and maybe I could be wrong, but what I understand to be the problem is that you're saying these are teachers in training, right? That they just haven't gotten their certificate. Like they're close to graduation, right? They have training, correct?
Not even necessarily close to graduation.
But they're in training. They're in training.
They are in, yes.
Okay,
for sure.
so they're in training, and that we can presumably believe that eventually they will get the required training to finish, right? Yeah. So my understanding of what they're talking about is they're saying that they have people who aren't licensed, period, and aren't in training. This is my understanding of what they're saying.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It does mean something. You don't want idiots that were trained in welding teaching your children math.
So, I don't know. Well, welding, I don't know. But lawyers, but like, for instance, like lawyers, right? Our good friend Pisco. Pisco is not a lawyer. I want you to know that, right? He has not passed the bar. He took the bar. He's waiting for his bar results, right? But as of now, he officially has not passed the bar. However, he has already been hired by a law firm, right? But that makes sense. Pisco has graduated law school, right, and done very well for himself. And so he has employment on the basis that he will have passed the bar, right? And so doing that in the public schools, as you have pointed out, that seems fine to me, right? But to say that like that law firm would hire me, has no legal training whatsoever, right? I mean, I would take the money certainly, but that might not be the best idea. So I think that's what they're trying to elucidate.
You agree? You agree that if somebody's in there like first semester of their sophomore year, they've probably not taken many major classes. It's not like they have this undue amount more information than you would.
They're in training. They're in
So let
training.
me
I mean,
explain.
I think there's a difference, though, right?
So let me explain.
Okay, so in the state of Arizona, in order to be able to be a charter school teacher, you have to have an associate's degree. Do you think that somebody should be able to have an associate's degree with no teaching certificate in order to be able to facilitate education to children, do early childhood education?
Wait, if you're gonna ask a question, we can answer, right?
Yeah,
a 4-year degree is great. I think good enough. Go ahead.
He said associate.
Associates is 2.
Associates.
Oh, my bad. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I think depending on the community, I think if that community doesn't produce enough people to meet a higher standard, then that's okay.
Okay, hold on, but you're saying, okay, now you've moved the goalpost. See, and Guda, I haven't forgotten about you. I promise. No. I know. It can't be. I'm not even in this, right? Usually I'd be battling you, but this is not me taking sides.
No, but understand. I'm not moving a goalpost. He said, do you like this thing and is it okay? And all I'm saying is that depending on the neighborhood, I could agree with that. If it was a place
we're talking about a public school, not a private school that's going to make money off of our tax-paying dollars.
They don't like that. They don't like me to do that. I don't like you to do that at all. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't like that at all. Don't just talk louder when I talk, because then I have to mute you. Don't do that.
Sorry.
All right. Like that's different, right? In a public school. Okay, maybe I'll pull back on the goalpost thing, right? Moving my own goalposts. But like that's different, right? Saying that an associate's degree and accepting that because in that neighborhood or in that locality, they have less teachers there, right? Which may or may not be the case. We're just like wildly speculating on that point, right? But even that's the case, right?
For concealed carry, why shouldn't you just be able to carry a gun?
Understand that a person with an associate's
in whatever
degree,
way you
which
want
may not be anything even close to teaching, right? Even in the direction of teaching, is different, is qualitatively less, or obviously less trained than a person who is in even just beginning their actual teacher's training, right? Like that's a worse situation having that type of person than a person who has an associate degree, correct?
Not always.
Yes. So I want to give a pretty clear answer to this. Okay. If there's a plethora of people who have a 4-year or 6-year degree available, I would highly recommend that the standard be all teachers must have that 4 or 6-year degree.
Okay. All right, so let's go to CMA.
I'm always on the side of education, always, like 100%.
We'll go to CMA Gruder. We'll go to Pan, and then H9 if you want to say something. All right. CMA?
Yeah. When I taught in Virginia, we had lateral entry programs, and the lateral entry programs theoretically suggested that people would complete teacher training or complete administrative training and things like that. And one of the principals that was in the school that I taught at while in the public schools only had a degree in divinity. He had no educational background, and I checked back on the website, and he still doesn't seemingly have any associated degrees with education or certification. Somebody brought up Rhode Island in the chat. They wholesale fired all of their teachers over a contract negotiation and reduced it down so that ideally you should have a degree, but you could have just passed through high school to teach there. And lateral entry programs are frequent in many states, and oftentimes they're very broad. They can be out to 5 years where you're supposed to seek training, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily seek that. So I I don't think that's a higher standard. And just because somebody like Annadelle would have a PhD, I think they could absolutely teach and teach successfully. That's all.
Okay, let's go to Pan. Then Dr. K, you're on the list, fine. Pan, H9, and then Dr.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that it's clearly not this super big gap in the differential of teaching quality if these charter schools are taking students away from public schools. If the quality of education was just so low, every teacher there didn't have a teaching degree, all of this bad stuff, then no one would send their kids there. Like the reason they send their kids there are because they think it's better than the publicly available option. So I would agree that, yeah, in general, obviously it's better if your teacher has more degrees, but that doesn't necessarily mean like
It's a great marketing scheme, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a great marketing scheme. You value the quality of the teachers rather than their certification.
Wait a minute. Do parents necessarily have perfect insight into the quality of the school, right? Like this is like a very was it libertarian? Is it the word I'm looking for here? I don't know. I'm tired. But no, they don't. They absolutely don't.
There's
right?
broad data online about
no. Okay, first of all, not all parents like actually research these things like that. Okay, so there's that, right? And it doesn't mean the metrics that are available are actually giving you a accurate a picture, fair understanding of the situation, right? So saying just because that people are sending their kids there doesn't mean that that is the case. Or maybe it's just that they're sending there because the charter is the closest that they have, right? Like there are all kinds of reasons why a parent could send their kid to a school, not necessarily because they know for a fact that it's better than the public school, that option that they might have available to them. Right?
Yeah, well, that would apply either way, though, wouldn't it? Like, if the school is closest, then they might go to the public school, right? But no one else saying is, well, if it applies to both public and charter schools, then the claim doesn't matter.
Oh, well, first of all, you're the one who said the claim in the first place, so I don't know why you said it then. But then,
just to clarify, what claim are we talking about?
The claim that you said, right? That's saying just that people going to a school, right, means that like it validates that it has some value.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So in any case, but a lot of people don't have choices, and
right, that's what I want to fix.
Yeah, no. But my point
when
is
you
that
stick a charter school right next to
the charter schools themselves can be detrimental, right? Like that's if the charter schools were not financially and politically opposed to public schools, right? If they were not placed in opposition to them, then this would not be a conversation, right? We can understand that. That's why we have to compare these two, right? So when you're saying, oh, well, I want to fix that by giving more choice, well, then that's the argument in itself, because the people are saying that the charter schools, their very presence is making public schools worse. That's why when you say, oh, just want to have a choice, that you're missing the argument.
Well, right, but they're just wrong. Again, like these schools do get funding regardless of whether or not the students go to a charter school. So if they can't compete with a massive funding advantage, and the charter schools are able to, provide a decent education. Now it's true, not all parents care. Private investors.
Private investors. They get private investors as well as tax money. They get both.
They can care, but that doesn't mean they have the resources, right? Like I don't want to say that.
The resource, like if they're parent teacher conference, like you get to meet the teachers and shit for like these schools, right? You can go meet the teachers. You can look online. I don't think if there's anyone out there who can't.
Don't make assumptions about a person's resources that they have available, so they can direct to their children's learning, right? Like don't make assumptions.
Okay,
it's fine that your parents had that, but maybe
that's
not.
True. But I would say the same thing applies equally to public schools. If there's a good charter school in the area and their parents unfortunately don't have the resources available to notice that there's a better charter school in the area, that's just as bad of a problem. Like I agree, yes, maybe the solution to this is like outreach programs to help disadvantaged parents, let them know that hey, these schools are available, or let them have them help give
the ultimate
information.
But if it's
the ultimate point that they're trying to get to, right, is that that it's a better path rather than going through these charter schools, which they perceive to be detrimental. It's a better path, a more equitable path to get rid of these charter schools and then improve the public schools, right? So
Can
it's
I
not
ask you a
simply
question?
like
I
doing
mean,
outreach.
I
That's not
mean,
the
I
problem.
could agree
Prime,
with
can I
that
ask you a question?
in principle, but like, does anyone have any sort of like, just for any particular state, does anyone have like public schools versus charter schools, like their leaver exams or something like
Research these things, or do you think the vast majority don't do these things?
I balk when you say care. Saying care means that attaching
Care to
it
do
care.
research and blah blah blah.
No. Care to do research, whether they have the resources to do that research or the know-how to do that research, is a separate thing than whether they care.
No,
So
but that's the question I'm asking. But no, I'm saying I'm defining. I'm saying
fair.
I'm defining care. I'm
What
trying
did
to
they ask
give
me to
you
look up?
my
What
parameters
did
for
they
the
want?
question, right? My hypothetical. So when I say care, I'm saying the parents, one, first off, care about their kids, and two, they are doing research online to try and figure out what the best school for their kid is. I'm asking you, based off that definition of care, do you think most parents do or do not do this?
I'm saying that I reject your definition is what I'm doing. Right? I'm saying that
I don't care if you reject my definition.
I'm not going to answer your question because I think your question is nonsense. Like that's the way it is. I think it's fucking nonsense. That's
you
why.
can't answer whether you think most parents
I
doing
won't.
research.
No. That's not what you asked. Now that's a separate question. I can answer that question.
But
But no. I literally hold on. I literally just now. No. I'm not gonna let you talk over me. Not gonna happen.
answer
Look,
your
so I made it very clear. That my objection to your question was the word care, right? And tying that to the research, saying that apparently that did not research does not necessarily care about their kids. That was my objection to it, right? Now, if you want to withdraw that other question because it was shit and give me another question that's better, then I'll answer that question. Great.
No.
So,
I don't
care. If the question now is, do the majority of parents research their kids' schools, right? I don't know. Maybe. Actually, I literally do not know if the majority of parents do that or just send their kids to the closest school available, right? I literally do not know if that's the case. My parents didn't. My parents are foreign though. So they didn't really have a choice. They're like, okay, well, we'll send them to where we know these other kids from our community have had a good education in the school. So I mean, I guess so we'll send them there. But they didn't look up metrics or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so first off, when there's things such as caring about a kid's education, these things are subjective. So I can absolutely give you my parameters for what I think caring about a person caring about their kid's education means. You can't reject my definition of something that's completely subjective. So I explain to you, hey, we may have a difference, but this is how I'm defining it. So I'm asking you, based off how I define this, now that you understand where our disagreements over this subjective phrase is, what's your opinion? I absolutely can ask you that, and you absolutely should be able to answer that.
And I can absolutely not answer that because that answer.
Yeah, you can choose to not answer. Yeah, you can choose to not answer it for sure. I didn't say you had to answer. I'm just saying it's coherent that someone can give you their definition of a subjective phrase, and you give them your thoughts based off accepting that subjective definition.
All right.
If I say, do people abuse drugs, right? We'd have to define what abuse drugs means to both of us. We might have different parameters, but I can explain to you, hey, this is what I think abusing drugs is. And then you can answer the question, oh, yeah, I think people abuse drugs or not.
All right, Dr. K, it's your turn anyway.
Fascinating. I was doing some little side research on UTLA's site. And one interesting thing I found out is charter schools, because they fall under the category of businesses. When it comes to COVID safety standards, they have to follow business rules. And this means that they can be essentially far more blasé about reporting people with COVID, about distancing rules, about things like that, compared to a public school, which obviously, as a public institution, has to adhere to governmental standards on the matter. So I would, one, urge that. And two, far and away, one thing I would like to emphasize is that when you have people who are not yet credentialed coming into public schools and teaching, there is essentially observation that is done of these people. They are checked in with, at least in California, on an extremely regular basis. There will be observations done in their classroom by administrators on a regular basis to ensure that they are following the rules and guidelines set forward, and to make sure that they are, like, you know, within regulations. Is H9 all right? Sorry, I thought he passed out for a second.
Or
Yeah, so
kind of all agree on this somewhat. Like we agree your point, not your point.
oh, I was just
Seems
asking
like
if
state-
you were okay. I wasn't inviting you to interrupt, dude. So essentially, yeah, when it comes to people who are still working through the observation and through their teaching certificates, they are going to be observed. They're going to be checking in with their fellow teachers on a regular basis. They'll probably be doing professional development on a regular basis. And interesting factor, actually, at least for California, it is actually easier to become a full-time teacher at a charter school than it is to become a substitute teacher at a public school. Because at a public school, to be a substitute teacher, you would at least need a bachelor's. So that's kind of fun and interesting in a subject relevant to what you're doing. Or you need certain test scores and to have passed a certification program run through the state education. So just thought I'd let you guys know about that.
I dropped you guys a wealth of knowledge in the VC chat. I'm just going to leave it at that. There is a wealth of knowledge. You guys can go through all of those all that documentation. Feel free to have fun with it.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to post a comprehensive study from the Department of Education on charter school impact, so you guys can read what our Department of Education has to say.
Can anyone sum up
Oh,
the
hey,
information?
the top 10
Can y'all
schools
sum it
in
up?
California are all public, except number 10 is a charter school.
Yeah, like, can you give us
when
like
was that
the
published?
TLDR, right, and something we can actually look for rather than just a document dump?
It is a little bit outdated. I'll look for a newer one. It's 2010. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how.
Well, what points do y'all two different information arrive at? Like,
I don't know. I haven't read his.
Essentially, charter schools abuse public funds. They abuse public tax dollars. They've been doing it for years. They do it all over Arizona. Arizona is a bastion for charter schools. We are actually one of the test states for charter schools. Governor Doug Ducey and Governor Fife Symington, previous to him, have both pushed charter schools in the state to push out public schools and the public school system. They've been very effective at it, and they've done a great job at killing our public schools and pushing them to the outskirts while bolstering the private and charter school system here. So go ahead and take a look at that, and you will get all the information that you need.
Can I ask you a question? Because it sounds like you're just saying, "Hey, I don't like that there's competition now," and I agree with you because
it's not the competition; it's the fact that these people are fleecing Americans. They're fleecing Arizonans
Should
for
be using
in my
that
state.
money for high-speed rail.
Yeah, private schools are competition, but their competition even I, a socialist, am fine with. It's the problem that, again, that these are.
Is there anything to suggest that these schools aren't doing
It is that
a
these
good
are
job?
institutions
Go
that
ahead
do
and
not have
read.
to follow public regulations that can draw from public funds. If they stop
Can you give
drawing
us
from
an
public funds
example
and
of-
all
can you-
became private,
I don't care
Give
about
us an
any of this.
example of that.
Look,
mean,
I
give
just
us-
want high-speed rail for our public schools, okay?
Yeah. So Gam,
All right, liberal shit
the
posting
Department of
aside.
I concur
Education
with
does
that,
seem
though.
to show a positive.
Yeah, me too. It's just shit.
Actually, an improvement, especially when it comes to math for for charter schools that serve underprivileged youth. I'm still reading this, but it does seem like they're at least as good or better than public schools.
Okay. Does
says-
anybody have anything to the contrary, saying that they aren't as good?
I mean, I just dropped a bunch of shit showing that they're fleecing the taxpayers.
but
I mean, what do you want? Like, I mean, If they're fleecing the taxpayers, it's taking dollars out of public school systems where that money could go and could benefit our students. Or, like Stardust said, coincidentally, like, why are we paying contractors to do the job of the public government, of the public education system, when we could be building rail? Like, Jesus Christ.
Maybe people in the government have decided that there's a more efficient way these things could happen. And that's why I'm not focusing on you. I understand that they're taking money because my school is literally dealing with it. But I'm asking you, is there anything to indicate that they're not doing as good or better of a job?
Yes, I was just reading this.
That's
one of the
all I care
documents
about.
that I'm just reading one of the documents I've got from the executive summary, some key findings. It says here that on average, middle schools that hold lotteries are neither more nor less successful than traditional public schools in improving students' achievements, behavior, and school progress. The impacts of charter middle schools on students' achievement vary significantly across schools. Yeah, it says here that middle schools that hold lotteries are neither more nor less successful than traditional public schools. So I guess that I can.
Some great info, actually.
least-
Here, let me.
So in other words,
least
why are we
according to this
paying them
executive
when we
summary.
could just do it through our public school system?
Here, let me drop this.
I
by,
also
okay?
believe in child
So-
labor.
Me too.
Here,
actually.
let me just drop this for y'all, right? So I got from oh geez, oops, accidentally closed the
Look,
window.
can I bring up a topic? Children have gotten really fucking lazy. Okay.
Why are you shit? Like I'm trying to have a real conversation.
They spend
dude. Why are
way
you
too much time on
shitposting,
Gotcha
man?
Club. That's all I know. Way too much time on Gotcha Club.
Yeah, bring back fucking child labor. Those guys are fucking lazy, freeloading little fucks. Okay.
I just
I'm done
want
with
them
it.
to act more like Dennis the Menace. Like
okay.
at least he was doing some good mischief.
Go ahead, Dr. K.
Yeah. So, sorry, I did close it. But yeah, Center of Research on Education Outcomes out of a Stanford fucking think tank, right? So let me drop the specific one I was looking at, which was for Washington State, but we have the one for I think all states, or at least a number of them, as it were, right? So we got the whole thing. And essentially the findings are that they perform basically the same. There's no real discernible difference.
Okay. So if that's the case, and there's a financial impact to having them, like a negative impact on the schools, and possibly fleecing them. You know, if you're looking at whatever. So Jason just dropped into a chat. I think that's the argument against them. So, but let's go to Three Glad, and you guys can all push against that. Three Glad, and then May.
In the VC chat, by the way, I just put a bunch of studies, like peer-reviewed studies on charter schools for those interested.
Okay, so I've been listening for like the past hour, and like I've typed up like a lot of things in my notes, but like rather than bore you guys with that, I'm gonna try to bridge the gap in the most simple way possible. So I think the contention is that like you guys think private school is good and it serves a purpose, versus the other people who think that private
charter
schools, whatever.
That's a big difference. Those two aren't the same thing. Right?
They're not.
No, they're not.
That's the whole point of contention, dude. Is that charter schools draw from public funds, private doesn't.
In my eyes, it's the same thing. So here's the contention. Well,
they're not. I mean, like if you're going to engage in the argument, I'm telling you, they're not the same thing. That's the problem. If charter and private were the same thing, then the conversation would be completely different. Completely different.
Does somebody make a profit off of charter schools, or are charter schools nonprofit?
Yeah.
Okay.
They make a profit. Somebody makes a profit. They're investors.
Well, that's why in my
they use public funds, but they are nonprofits.
They're nonprofits.
Yes.
Except for the administrative fees for their COOs and COOs and people like that run the charter schools. They make very, very handsome,
these are
very, very handsome
There's
salaries.
nonprofits and for-profit charter school management companies.
Fair enough. Well then I think the simplistic contention here is the for-profit charter people. I think that like if you're taking money from public funds for a profit business, that's not cool. Like that's pretty much it. That's like the most simplistic way I can make it.
You know, the Glad, I think you're onto something there. I really support this one. Yeah, that's it. I like that. That's good.
Yeah,
this happens everywhere.
Where else does this happen? In schools?
Public
like,
funds
that's-
are given to all type of businesses.
Yeah, hon. What?
For schools?
This was the whole. No, go ahead.
That's not. But that's not.
It dilutes the funding of our public education system. That's the problem. It creates a two-tiered education system in which the taxpayers are funding the private portion of the education system while also dually funding the public portion. And we shouldn't be responsible for both. And there shouldn't be a two-tiered education system like that. If they want to do that, go start a public school. You don't need public funding. Let public schools keep their public funding. There's no reason that we should be paying for charter schools.
Like you could say the same thing about
the for-profit. The for-profit charter schools are really bad. I think you should have to be a non-for-profit or community organization.
Okay,
but
like
modern charter schools who are chartered, like that's an important part of a charter school. They have to have a charter that is legally binding that they must follow. This is a very important part. And 2/3 of charter schools recently were created by community groups, teachers, or universities. These aren't things that like a stockbroker or some stock hedge fund guys like, oh my God, you know, I can make a killing state governments by somehow cutting child education to make a profit. Okay.
Yeah, are most of these schools falling in this for-profit thing?
No,
or are people just using this to create
5% are for-profit.
We shouldn't even talk about it. Okay, So this is being brought up.
I'll send a link. Actually, this is Arizona. This is my state.
Nonprofit just means that like somebody isn't cashing in a big paycheck at the end of the day that's corporate. That doesn't mean that people aren't making a ton of money in administrative fees and salaries off of those schools.
Public school. This doesn't make sense.
For a non-school example of that is the Susan G. Komen Foundation.
I was wrong.
Nationalize all nonprofits.
It's 5% for my state, but it's 12% across the country are for profit.
How about we take this a step further? Right? Why are we wasting all this money, right? That's going from the taxpayers' dollars. And wait, let me finish. Okay, going from the taxpayers' pockets and going into this public school system, which is just going to line the pockets of these politicians, right? We should just defund the public school system and get everybody in the workforce earlier. Imagine how much. I'm not shit posting.
My daughter would be really great at harvesting weed. I think I could put her to work stat.
So I gotta get. I'm looking at a map from. Okay, so here's the thing that I'm really worried. I'm like extremely worried about like doing research like this.
Yeah, she is a comedian. She does political commentary. She's it's weird. She's big on individual rights, but she is very much socialist as far as like a social safety net goes. She's got a really interesting perspective. I don't agree with her on a lot of things, but I think she's freaking hilarious.
And you can do research or something, decide if you believe it in this particular source. So, and that's for everything that we drop here. Because there's a lot of like groups that are like, oh no, we're just like parents, concerned parents, right? And it's like a fucking corporation behind that shit, So it's kind of one of those situations. So anyway, I have something for the network for publiceducation.org, right? And I'll put it in the DC chat. Exactly. No, exactly. Fair enough. Exactly. This is exactly what I'm trying to say here. But they have like an interactive map, and so like their point is that it says that a lot of schools say that they are non-for-profit, but that is just a veneer, and they have like a whole like an interactive map here showing for-profit management, and it shows like a whole bunch of different schools here like across several different states that are actually, according to them, for-profit schools that may be masquerading as non-profit due to various laws.
But I think
I'm saying that it's like finding out the percentage is not so easy. This is all I'm trying to say there.
But would it? they think that the state doesn't properly
Let's take a
know
look,
whether
guys.
these places are profit or not for profit based off the taxes and things that they file? Are they saying that there's fraud being committed? Because, like, that would
seems
have
like
to
very
look
poor
like
state regulation.
You can be a non-for-profit and be horrendously corrupt profiteering institution. Again, I cited a well-known public
Yeah, Susan G.
example.
Komen for sure.
Yeah, Susan G. Komen.
Wait, that seems like extreme like state malpractice and regulation. That doesn't seem like
You don't live in
problem for
Arizona.
charter school.
It's pay for play here, man. Whoever has the gold rules.
In fact, there's an organization that is a non-profit that brutalizes autistic people by doing adjusted behavioral therapy called Autism Speaks that has a
So
well-known record of abusing like the autistic kids like they're trying to quote-unquote cure.
Somebody in chat made a really
you
good
need to be
point.
skeptical of nonprofits.
Someone in chat made a really good point. How many of you guys have sub buttons?
Chat,
This
Why does that matter?
elitism. This is blatant elitism, and I won't stand for it.
Fucking kill me, chat.
Oh my god.
Well, you can only follow me.
If I had a sub button, I'd send all my money to you, Stardust.
And I'd send all my money to charter schools.
A lot of these non-for-profit charter schools are indeed for profit, but all of the public school advocates seem to be entirely blind and deaf to the idea that a lot of public education is essentially a shareholder invested for-profit phenomenon, given testing companies and certification and the broad standardized tests.
You're right.
How much did you get paid to say that?
Wait. Gentlemen.
Seeking
Hear me out.
Common Core.
Hear me out. Gentlemen, there's a problem with profiteering in this sector. So let us adjust to a sector that is all profiteering. Brilliant. We've got it now. We've done it. We fixed it.
Already is. It already is. Like I said, everybody. I don't know. What are we doing here?
I think I know what we're doing here. Hold on, wait. I gotta answer this. If you're in Prime chat right now, hit exclamation point BBC, and then that's the channel you should go sub for. That pops up once you do that.
Okay, all right. But no,
What does that
the
stand
fact
for?
that CMA
I've been on
Gruder.
Pornhub enough. I don't need to see that.
CMA Gruder.
No, it's not porn. It's not porn.
CMA Gruder. So the fact that their testing companies are involved. I mean, first of all, that wouldn't necessarily help do anything for charter schools because, again, charter schools would have that same issue, right? But one way or the other, that isn't like the crux of the issue. That's another problem that is dealing with public schools, but we're talking about the quality of the education in general and whether
Guys, I love you. I
charter
just
schools
want you to
exist
know
as
that. All you guys
grades,
hanging out in chat, you guys
public schools, right?
freaking
Absolutely, it's
rock,
working
man. You
people-
guys are
kids
so
that will be
cool.
left behind. So just
I'm
because
so stoked
that's-
to have you with
yes,
me.
there is a testing problem, and that is absolutely the case, right? I don't like these standardized testing on the regime as it stands now, but that I don't know. That's like a non sequitur to this issue.
Exactly. Again, because there's a little bit of profiteering here, guys. Let's just say fuck it and make it all profiteering. Why not? Fuck it. Am I right?
Yeah, let's screw up our education system. We'll make it so only
this
rich
is
people can
very
get smart.
identical.
I love that.
Okay, so
when only rich people get smart,
I was
that's
just
so
on
much
a panel
better.
with a bunch of fascists, and they're
fact,
making the same arguments. Like it's crazy.
True.
Outcomes. I'll drop some
Hey, I
data.
don't decide who you hang out with, okay?
I don't hang out with anybody, bro. I just jump on panels. Okay.
That's
Time notes.
That's a weird flex. Okay, you hung out with fascists. Cool, great.
I didn't hang out with them. I jumped on a. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, you know what? I don't appreciate that you're saying who I associate with, and also,
I'm not.
you don't get
I'm
to
just
you don't
saying
get
you
to
hung out
judge
with
who
You
what
said
I
who
do
you
in my
associated
free
with.
time.
Dr. K, you've been like incredibly like hostile to people who are like
Yeah, that's kind of my
against
character. That's kind of what people know me for. I'm an incredibly toxic and hostile person. Yes.
So am I. But I don't get the chance to do it because I don't know because you think mine is less valid or whatever.
I think you're
I don't
both
know.
lovely. You're both lovely.
Thank
I've
you.
enjoyed
Thank you.
both
I
of your
think you're
presence.
lovely as well.
I appreciate your guys'
both
toxicity.
amazing
I love the
trolls,
toxicity in this room.
I'm not a troll. I genuinely believe almost
Nah,
everything
you're
I
definitely a
say.
troll. You're definitely a troll.
I'm not.
You're almost all troll. I don't know if that's another part of it.
Listen, just because you're shutting your ears off doesn't mean that we all are.
No,
In fact,
I don't shut
40% of it is an act. Dr. K and Prime and everybody else, and the folks that felt that charters are manifest worse educational outcomes. I just posted the top ranking high schools in the country. We see basis all over that list. We see the Arizonan attempting to hide from this right now. And in the process,
I've also illustrated why that isn't valid. So go ahead with your bad self with your bullshit ass study. You can take it and shove it.
You listed some
I
high
don't think that's
performing
fair.
schools.
Yeah,
My
just because
again, so my
Agree.
counter argument, I would then gesture you to the Stanford University education outcomes research that I posted that quantifiably showed that there's no difference.
Outcomes from Stanford before you try to academic explain.
I will say though, Gruder, I don't think that this is the best point because just because a school population is overrepresented in the top doesn't mean that they're, overrepresented. Just because they make up the top epsilon doesn't necessarily mean
He probably doesn't even have a fucking education shit himself.
They might
He probably
also
doesn't
make
have a
up the
cert
worst
himself.
So
That's the problem.
If I had to guess,
Punk
I'd say
ass
since
bitch.
the variance in charter schools is
He's one of those
is higher
motherfuckers
than
that
the
ain't
public
got no
schools. Yes, a
fucking.
lot of the best public
God damn it,
schools
I'm
are
cussing
or
like
best
mother. I don't
charter
give a
schools are gonna
fuck.
be in the
He's
top.
one of those
Well, a lot
motherfuckers
of
that
the
ain't got
worst
no
charter
teaching
schools are gonna be in the
certifications.
bottom.
That's why.
While they may be overrepresented in the
just the
top,
top
they
10.
may also be overrepresented in the bottom.
Hey, CMA, do you have a teaching certification?
Definitely.
He can just lie and say yes, even if he doesn't, though.
That's
You
true.
all
That's
of us
true.
can. That's not
Because he works
Whoa,
for
why
a
are
charter
you
school and they don't
assuming
have to
lying?
disclose.
See, now here's
I'm
another
not.
thing. You're assuming intent.
No, I'm just saying,
It's a little bit fucked up, don't you think?
I just think
Again,
that his
assuming that
conversation
somebody's
benefits his 401k. That's all I'm saying.
Remember,
Maybe I should
that?
assume that. Maybe
Go
I
on
should
the-
assume that
go on the
you're
internet
everything
and
you're
tell
saying
lies?
is. I mean,
will say-
this guy is being genuine. This guy's been genuine the
Yeah,
entire time he's been
I'm not
here,
saying
right?
he
And I
doesn't have
don't
it.
think that he's lying. I don't think he's lying. And I
Stardust.
think it's a little
No,
bit
if
fucked
any-
up for you to imply that he's
Anything,
lying.
it was dumb of Jason to
Stardust,
ask if he
remember
has a
Dr. K is a
credential
troll.
because anyone can say yes, regardless
No.
of whether they do or not.
Remember, Dr. K is a troll. Stardust. You gotta
I'm
keep,
not.
You gotta keep this at front of mind. This is a troll.
Yeah, I know.
In
And
fact, if anyone's
assuming
a
that my
troll-
child
if anyone
labor
is a troll
policies
here-
aren't real either.
You are Gambit. Like I don't know what to tell you, man.
Oh, now
Don't call Gambit a troll.
I think neither
Yes,
people
you're
or
just gonna
nobody's a
shout over
troll.
people.
Jesus, nobody's a troll. We're stalwarts for our sides and our views, and there's nothing
No,
wrong
no,
with that. Eventually, at some point, we'll come to a consensus and stop bitching at each
You need
other.
fast, high-speed
Dr.
rail.
K
And
is
I
right.
say
about
put the
that
Dakota
one.
for it.
Jason,
Wait.
everyone who disagrees with me is dishonest, and that's just a fact.
Wait, listen. Almost
Everybody's
everyone.
lying.
I love you, but I'm lying.
Everybody's lying.
Hold on, wait. Almost everyone that streams universally agrees that Dr. K is a troll. This isn't new. Like almost everyone.
Really, cite a study for Dr. K being a troll.
Go drop
please.
a
Dr. K, will you come on my stream and troll for me, please?
No,
Yo,
no.
I
Can a
would
mod
love to.
K to Paul?
Thank you. I'm going to have you on to
But these aren't-
troll my
come on,
stream.
These aren't streamers. These aren't streamers. Come on.
Oh, true.
Prime,
Brian, you want to answer? You want to answer?
All right.
Validating
Dr.
the
K
streaming
is a-
experience.
Oh my, man. I know.
Wow.
I don't think.
I know I'm not as big as you, but geez,
Twitch
Prime,
chatters
wow.
are valid
No.
Everyone on Twitch chat, you're valid. Don't care what Prime
You know,
says.
Twitch chat are entertainers as
No.
well.
Oh
okay?
no. My chat knows I fucking hate them. If they
My
don't, I'm letting
validity
you know right
revolves
now.
around being able to get on a walk-on panel with Prime.
Wait, I was just in there.
Twitch chat. I love you when you're giving me money. Also, subscribe to the channel. We have a sub button. It clearly shows that we are a charter school. We are grifters because we have that sub button, as has been helpfully pointed out. We have September that's happening now, so you can sub to the channel for less money, right? For 20% off if you're a new sub, and 20% off if you're gifting subs. Support the channel. That's how we do that, right? So yeah, you guys.
I've got a radical take.
I mean,
I've got a
Prime,
radical take. I've got a
very
radical take. Please,
quickly,
please.
quickly, just
Okay.
quickly, just for,
Can we make?
I want to try one
can
of
we-
these
okay.
people. Sorry, go ahead, Star.
Okay. All right. Can we take the bad charter schools and add them to the school to prison pipeline? We can just do that,
Okay,
right?
leader. And then I want to ask
I
you
was
the
gonna
question.
say, can't people mute? Can't the people from chat mute people on the stream by paying like bits and stuff?
Indeed, they can.
That would be
Indeed, they
that's
can.
great.
Oh, it's amazing.
Exclamation point mute.
You could
shows
do it
exactly how you can do that. Actually. But to about Dr. K, I don't think Dr. K is a troll. I don't think she's a troll at all. I think she's an honest actor. She comes in. I think she's a pain in my fucking ass. No, that's definitely the case. But that's a different type of pain than a troll pain, right? It's more of a throbbing pain. Trolls are a sharp pain. So yeah,
Trust
I don't
me,
know.
me and Prime do a lot of throbbing together.
Oh boy. Okay. True. Oh boy. Thank you, Jibring, for resubbing, right? For resubbing even after you've heard how I actually feel about you. And CMA Gruder for gifting a sub. Thank you, CMA Gruder. Hey, if we get one more, we can exercise on the hype train and I'll pay for all this. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Right? So one more donation and we can start ourselves hype train and to pay for all this wonderful content. GSU Gambit helping out with a sub himself. Thank you, GSU Gambit, for being kind. And then CMA Gruder for another sub. Thank you. For a sub.
All right, guys, I'm trying to book Dr. K for a segment with us. What do you guys think? You want to have Dr. K on a segment? I would be so down.
Keep alive. We're level 1 hype train, level 1 hype train.
Hey, help Prime out.
Done. 33% left. 30% left. Can we get to a level 2 hype train? Let's make that happen.
Hey, my whopping 7 viewers, get that hype train running. Go do it. Go donate some bits. Go get some subs. Go do it. I don't care. There's only 7 of you, but you know what? You go do that shit right now.
This is S tier content. S tier.
Like, we've had people.
Dude, this is free internet. This is free internet content right now. Holy shit.
Yeah, there you go.
Run it.
Right?
Tolerate British people here.
We tolerate British people.
Dr. K is a trans woman that's rocking a shit that keeps getting muted because she's schooling everybody.
Spoons literally left.
Oh, hell yeah. Star Slice just followed.
Yeah,
I will take it. Rock and roll. That's a dab for you, Star Slice.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Spoons was here.
Oh, man. All right. We have 33% left. 30% left. Can we get to a level 2 hype train? Help us out. Remember, when you use substitute channel, you get exclamation point emotes. Get the emotes that are there. We got a whole list of emotes, and we'll get more in the future. So that's a good thing that you guys like.
Just for you.
I don't know.
Enjoy.
Don't worry, we will get more new emotes. We actually have been getting a bunch more emotes in the recent past. See, Problematic Pan, he likes the emotes. That's why he gifted a sub. Thank you so much. We're at 83%. 70% left. Can we get to a level 2 hype train? Almost there. Yes, get our emotes. Also, you get ad free film. We do play ads during the walk on panels, right? Want to avoid those ads. Be so kind. Help us out. Substitute channel, right? Remember, this
Glad to have you, Star Slice. Thank you so much.
Not getting off.
That's rad. You hopped in.
Off.
Oh, you're old school. You've been around since 2012. Man, I'm so new to this shit. I am so happy to have you. Maybe you'll give me some really good advice because I am broke ass at understanding this shit.
Thank you for being so kind to this community. All right, that puts us at level 2 hype train. Love to see it. Love to see it. Paying for all of this. This is great. Yeah. Remember, of course.
There's an issue with fetal ghosts haunting charter schools. So we need to take care of that. And if you want to talk about that topic, please bring up the hype train, okay? It is September. If you're not doing it, it's just inconsiderate and very, very irresponsible. And you're spitting on the grave of all of these ghosts, okay?
Mass exorcisms for charter schools. I think we should promote that. Mass exorcisms for charter schools.
This is what we're...
Look, I might be a defender of charter schools, but I will admit they do have a pretty big haunting problem. So I appreciate all the exorcisms you're
We are less than 4 minutes into a level 2 hype train. 0% done. 100% left. Lots of room for heroes to make their mark. Right, and help out and assist this hype train. This is how we pay for all of this, right? What else do you get when you support the channel, right? You get access to sub-building parts of our Discord. What are you? Sorry, Dr. K. I hear you're doing a whole thing. Mute yourself while you're doing whatever you're doing. We are. I get sub-building parts to our Discord where you can suggest topics. You can suggest also improvements to the channel. You can do all those great things, right? Help us out, and you get access to that. You can also donate bits. That's another thing you can do, right? Or you can donate subs, 20% off those subs. You can use your Amazon Prime /Prime Gaming, and you can get subs to the channel and get all those amazing benefits, right? Including those great emotes, right? Those fantastic emotes for free if you do that, right? So use your one free sub per month on this community. This is what we do. This is how we keep this channel alive. So
No, bro, let Prime talk. Prime is a host of all this shit. He makes this shit happen.
Hype train, help us out. Of course, if you have the a resub, like someone else resub, like Gibberling, you can
Excuse me.
pop, and you can use that
Baking
resub
powder.
and pushes along the hype train, right? Or continue a sub if you've been so lucky as to be gifted a sub.
Star Slice all up in our shit, dude. Hell yes.
Continuing that sub here, right? Remember, you get
freaking
20%
love
off,
it.
20% off. This is
Try
the
not
month
to cuss.
to happen. This is the month to start investing into this community and what we're trying to build. And we thank those who have been helping us out so far. But of course, we always need more support to keep all this great content, this wonderful content alive for the rest of you, right? So subs to the channel. We have 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left on the clock, right? Can we get
The
any more
channel,
shows?
if you want to see me punch somebody on this panel, okay? Or punch anybody on. Oh, you know what, leader? I see you laughing, okay? Fuck you. All right? The fucking brawl is gonna end, or I mean, it's gonna start when you guys bring it up, okay? So bring it up, and then I'm gonna call Mr. Leader over here a bunch of names. Right?
I'm almost certain that is TOS.
Oh,
do that.
a
good boy.
Yeah,
In a video
he's
game.
a freaking
It's
lunatic.
not
Jesus
TOS
Christ.
if no one snitches.
Charter schools suck. They're horrible.
Help us out. This is how we keep this channel.
I love bantering with Stardust. She's funny as shit, dude.
Of course, we have less
Like I
than
said, I
90 seconds
disagree
left,
with her,
less than
but she
90
is
seconds on the
funny
clock.
as shit.
Can we get to a level 2? hype and help
100,
us
dude.
out?
I
All
love
this great
that
content
chick.
That we always provide you. Night to night, 6 nights a week, we provide you with content. And if you're here all the time, right? Well, then support us so we can come.
Yeah, I
back
love
here
Prime.
another
I
night,
love Prime Channel
right?
too.
So,
He gave
how do
me
you
a
help out?
platform. He gave me a voice
Sub to
like
channel
straight
yourself.
out the
Again,
gate. I
something,
mean,
is
dude, my
cheaper
first week on
today,
Twitch, he let me
this
go
month,
onto a walk-on
this
panel. He
September.
gave me
Or,
love, you know.
you donate bits or you donate
I'll
subs.
never
Again,
forget
at
that. That's rad. Like
all
he
for
didn't
big
have to
help,
do that.
right? Less than a minute left, less than a minute on the clock. Do you have any more heroes? It can be so kind as to help us out and push us to a level 3 hype train. Right? Every donation helps out.
Which one, guys?
Okay. Well,
one for Red Bull, 2 for Carlsberg. One for Red Bull, 2 for Carlsberg.
So, okay. Less than 30 seconds on the clock. Less than 30 seconds on the clock. Help us out if you
He
can.
does.
This is
I
how
like
we pay
it.
for all of this.
He throws things at me. He cornered me one time with some shit, and I like started having to question myself. Carlsberg is a pilsner from Denmark. The Danish. It's great. It's pilsner. It's wonderful.
Start off the hype train, and start us also with the random.
I got the Red Bull.
Sorry, I'm giving you what I have, okay?
It's 1 for Red Bull, and 2 for Carlsberg.
Okay.
1 for Red Bull, 2 for Carlsberg. Let's see it in the
Why are you
chat.
gonna
Come on,
shame
guys.
me for it? I'm giving what I have.
Okay.
Water? Who drinks water?
All right. So
Bring it.
Thank you.
Bring it,
for those who
DJ.
have been so-
I ain't got none. Oh, I froze.
And what was that last thing? More
there
pocket
you go.
expansion from Glad. I love you guys for this. This is wonderful. All right. Any which way, since we haven't got much more support, I'm just gonna end here. Let's see who we run a raid.
Can I make one more point?
I'm old, but I'm
sure, go ahead.
41, and I like to reverse it like I'm
I put in
14.
the
So
chat,
I'm
but it's-
calling it
if we're
like
gonna publicly fund a resource, why would we also fund its direct competition, especially privately owned competition?
Indeed. Okay.
Maybe it does a better job for cheaper.
Yeah. Okay.
It's never cheaper.
Thank you all. I am going to send you all off. Oh, wait a minute.
Raid Stardust.
Oh, let me do this. Let me do this. These people are never on when I'm on. let's help them
We're
out.
about to raid somebody
Okay.
else. He's
These people
gonna push
are
us
never
out.
on when I'm on. We're gonna help them out. All right. We are going to raid a very controversial channel. We're gonna raid politically provoked. So give them a warm welcome or whatever. I don't care. But thank you all. For being here. Exclamation point. Socials and chat. Follow us on social media. I follow the channel. I haven't done so yet. Follow the channel. Make sure notifications are on so you know when we're live. Follow the channel. And follow us on Twitter. Jump into our Discord where we have all these conversations, and go to our YouTube, where we do all of this. Right. All right. So off we go. To those guys. Give them a warm welcome or not. I don't know. It actually doesn't matter to me. And I will talk to you on Monday when we are back. But yeah, I did have actually a good time at Politically Vote. Good people.
You gotta go to church tomorrow. Remember that now.
Nice.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
pretty nice.
Church.
They've actually been pretty nice. Huh?
Churchin'.
All right, off you go.
Prime, did you tell them we go to church together?
Sure, boy. I'll be right back.
Three glad. I think it is totally
Hey,
weird.
Dr.
that,
K, you freaking rock. Stardust, you're always funny as shit, even though I massively disagree with you a lot of times. You are hilarious. I'm going to hop off.
She's a robot.
But
Hey,
I love Robot Stardust, whatever. She's rocking and rolling. H9, dude.
What are you talking
Always
about,
bring
robot?
points. I don't know. Somebody said you were a robot.
I'm not a robot, not yet. Mr. Went into space, and didn't give me my robot fucking body. So here I am in my meat bag of a body, and I don't get my robot body. What's going on, man?
Sorry for getting a little pointed with you earlier.
Whatever makes you love your life. That's what we should do.
Doesn't add to the conversation, just kind of tease me off. Sorry about that.
Oh, I don't care.
We like Stardust more.
Okay.
Yeah, Stardust is fun.
Stardust has had more infuriating panels today, so.
Oh yeah.
Hey, dude, I jumped on with CTV and went in the Wolf's Den and dealt with that battle. So what the hell ever. I'm getting familiar with the gauntlet, I guess.
Better than me, mate. Better than me.
I do have a question though. Does anyone know why my camera flips on PrimeCayes' stream?
You know what?
No.
My
He
camera.
probably flips you.
I set up these cool ass angles on my shit on my Streamlabs, and as soon as I go into Discord, it's like, "Fuck you, your shit sucks," and that's it. So
it's like horrible.
Love it.
Like I'm not
What
seeing
up,
trouble
Daddy
at all.
Ferris?
Well, I wanted to before I go, I want to thank all you guys for having thank you Prime for having me on. With being with on the panel was absolutely awesome. Oh shit!
Yeah, he's deafened.
Now you just look like an idiot.
Yeah, I do look like an idiot.
This is when you tell him he's ugly and you don't like him at all.
Catch you guys later.
You looked like that
Just
before you
kidding.
did that to
Take it
Prime.
easy, leader.
See you, mate.
All right, guys, I'm dropping
Yeah, I gotta
off.
go. Bye, guys.
Peace out.
Peace, everyone. Good seeing you all.
Three glad. I think it is totally wrong.
They're
that,
still talking.
Just remember, if you disagree with me, I was right. Just remember.
It was a good
It's
try.
true, he was right.
I
I'm
appreciate your
gonna stay there
accomplishment.
For a little bit longer. So I ain't got nothing
Oh,
better
I
to do
thought I
right
dropped
now.
off. All right, sorry guys. Bye.
No.
All right, guys, that was some shit. We went all in all night. We started with the early Prime. We got a couple new followers and stuff, and I do appreciate that so much. Holy crap, guys. We are almost there. We are almost there to our goal.